we're on what I guess is the 8th installment of the Stellar Horizons 2 videos, playthrough only, of the campaign. I did the scenarios as well. And we're in the 2350s. You can see a little bit more expansion as the map begins to fill out. And people are beginning to get to the point where they can produce tremendous amounts of technology. That tends to be the best thing, in my mind, to do with base production. Earth production is basically where you get your cash, but you don't need to build a lot of ships. And as the cash increases, as trade goods get traded in for cash, stuff like that, I'm able to keep to your max ships pretty much without feeling any pinch. Now, you could definitely improve your fleet or whatever by spending more money, but it feels like tech is more important over here. Now, you can see we're getting quite far on the tech chart. Sometimes cheating, but I try to fix that when I can. And, people are also collecting up a fair number of these specialty cards in their positions. How long does this go? Well, we are about exactly halfway through where the game can end. But like hostilities starting, there's no guarantee that it's going to happen anytime around then. It only took like 6 turns for hostilities to start, but it might take significantly longer. I mean, conceivably, the game could just keep running and running and running. It's just a matter of, at some point or another, you start checking for game end, and eventually, luck will catch up and it'll be over. That's where we are. Personal life stuff, I've kind of said, fuck it. I don't know. It's not the only time in my life where I've done that, where it's like, I can't cope with the reality. And I've been doing it for years now, again, to one extent or another, but I feel a certain amount of freedom to just letting go, no matter what the cost. 6:40 a.m. I don't know what the hell it's all going to mean, but let's see what we get. Let's get a little bit started. I don't usually I don't like any of this, right? But I tried to engineer my timing and whatnot. Okay, so it's initiative and discard escalation at this point. We got a lot of people with little weird initiative modifiers going on. So we're going to have to be careful with this. First question is it worth spending influence for initiative at this point? And that's a really hard thing for me to come to the decision of. If initiative is really important to me, maybe. Like if I have a lot of money and I want to be able to control when I get ships, at this point, there's at least 2 more turns, well, this turn and 2 more. So 3 turns that I'd have initiative, which isn't optimal, but it is like not coming at the tail of the sequence at least. The Giver's lost this ship due to having too many ships, and now I can't find the too many ships. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're allowed 6. I don't know what the hell happened. Maybe I was right before, and that ship shouldn't have just vaporized. Finding what's going on. Like, there's this ship that's way out in the middle of nowhere. This one. Was anything destroyed? I don't think so. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. I can count. I don't know. This is beginning to get to be too much for me. And, I mean, I think about things like the tech chart being too much for me. It would make sense, kind of like there are jobs in Viceroy, and, you know, they don't have to come with some kind of bonus or something, but there could be somebody who's very good at certain things, and you could put somebody in charge of the tech chart to just watch it like a hawk. But man, there's just so many different little pieces where you could screw up, and nobody's gonna fucking notice, and you're essentially cheating, you know, without intending to or whatever. But if you're not paying attention, nobody else is going to. And that's one thing that worries me about opposed play in this is, you know, I guess you might notice, hey, you have a shitload of ships. Are you paying attention to that? Are you paying attention to your bases? Are you paying attention to anything? You know, and then it's like, okay, well, you know, you're doing really well, and that's because you're cheating. Basically, nobody decided to spend. It's too complex a question across this many players as to whether or not somebody really would get an edge out of the initiative. I think even playing in an opposed game, it would be hard to recognize that, yeah, I really want initiative this turn. This is the ordering I came to. It might be screwed up because two people ended up in the 20s. These guys. I wasn't absolutely certain about their ordering, but I think I got it right. It probably doesn't make a damn bit of difference, to tell you the truth. And now it's time to discard escalations. Oopsie, I just noticed there's a minus 20% initiative roll for the consortium. Now they got a really, really high roll, up in the 90s, but that would put them down in the 70s, which I think puts them to here. Just guessing. I'm just guessing. I don't know. No, they had like a 98. I think they're here. I'm not positive. Best guess again. A ton of arrivals, notably a lot here. I did notice something where I think the transhumanists were sitting with like this marker on their ship because I forgot to remove it when I resolved that system. Probably they found something and it got me distracted. I don't know. But, you know, I just think that this game, no matter what, is probably going to be replete with a lot of errors, at least unless you become really addicted to playing it in a particular group. Again, I remember 18XX, you know, but when we first started playing that series, people would almost invariably make mistakes. When we got more used to it, we could watch what was going on a little bit more, make sure other people weren't fucking up. But even, you know, sometimes late in the game, we would see like track that couldn't possibly have been created. And it's like, oops, and stuff along those lines. It's just, you know, but this feels on a different level in terms of the amount of game state that you're like having to pay attention to make sure somebody doesn't fuck around. We're on the build and repair ships. I guess I'll stay up here for a little bit longer. I brought this up before. It's not clear what is and isn't hidden information. Technically, it all should be trackable, so maybe it should just be open. But I'm not sure because, for example, pulling these, I mean, you really wouldn't want them to be hidden, right? You want people to be able to make decisions on those. Money, it's got this backside, which makes it look like, but it is, again, presumably completely trackable. The directives, I feel, really should be hidden, and I'm keeping them face down because of that, so that people, also so that I can tell, you know, when you succeed in getting one, you know, that capability is available. But it's really weird. It's like maybe everything should be open. I mean, one assumes your hand of cards and your directives are hidden. Does it specify that? It doesn't. It doesn't. And with cards, so it's like there's holes in terms of like the concept that you have a hand of cards. In most games, you keep that concealed, and the same thing with the directive. But there's really, unless maybe there's over here, it tells you. I don't know. I feel though that like the game is just not specifying this stuff, right? So cards. Cards are similar to text, but only one player can hold each card. It doesn't tell you whether you hold them in a hidden hand. Maybe hand is supposed to be hidden. Directives, same thing. Optional rules for the campaign, and it doesn't say here that they should be hidden. It feels like they should be, simply because there's no reason for other people to know what your unfulfilled directives are, right? But should they know your fulfilled ones? Should they, again, it's all kind of up to a make it up as you go, I'm pretty much playing it as the hand of cards and your unfulfilled directives are hidden, but everything else is probably available for inspection. So you know how much money someone has, you know what ships they have available, but you can figure that out from the manifest or whatever. But yeah, it's just kind of a use your best judgment as to what should and shouldn't be hidden. Why did that come up? I don't know. I don't remember. Choices of people not repairing ships that they could repair. This one, well, it can take another hit without being problematic. And right now it would cost $6 to repair those two. I don't have that kind of cash I could throw trade goods or whatever in. This one is more problematic, but I'm like, it's a CV2. I don't really know if I want that thing on the map anymore. So getting it killed and getting an extra engineering chit might be worth it, but I wanted exploring. I don't have the money to build new ships or anything right now. I'm actually not going to get the money to build new ships, which might be a reason to repair it, but it would cost me $3 billion. And I don't have much money. I have $3 billion. Yeah, I think I'll keep that in there. All right, we'll fix this one. Some importance in this decision is you can only do one special repair on the board, which would have been a case here where he had to make a decision of that. Here, there's also a similar decision where, do I want to spend 3 to repair this ship? I think so, because I have not yet reached the CV5 ships. Do I really have CV4s out on the board? Yeah. I just don't have a lot of ships for the transhumanists, I guess. All I have available to me to still build, well, I got a CV4 sitting here, but all I have available for me to build is REs. And unless I'm like super bonus on REs, I don't want to deal with that. So I think I'm going to spend, because I have a lot of money, but not ships to build. To the combat phase, the true path has a little marker that says, hey, I can attack the givers. That sounds cool. Well, yeah, except I'm not near them. Like, they were able to attack my base, and I'm not going to be able to respond, basically. I don't think that I'm anywhere where I can hit them, which, that's the shit that happens. Some weird sort of interaction. So like the consortium here, who Well, they can't attack. Okay, so they're not a problem. But what I wanted to point out was they might want to attack this base. There's a chance they could destroy it on a high roll. But if they do that, because of the initiative order and the fact that they're better in initiative than the Givers would have a little marker that would be this turn and next turn and could make an attack here without paying a penalty for doing so. So it's like, yeah, I would probably not make this. So if you're too interrelated, the person with the high initiative may not want to launch an attack. Whereas if this guy launches an attack, there's no immediate response. There's a potential response next turn, but maybe this ship doesn't want to be there for a full turn. Probably would, but maybe it doesn't, you know. It's going to be dicks again. We're going to resolve this combat first, where I have an 8 versus a base. How does that work out? So planetary assault. So their base will have a strength of 2. What do we get additional? 1/10 the size of ships and 1/10 the number of enemy settlements. And those are die roll modifiers, yeah. So we're going to give the Givers the red die, even though they're the defender. And this is going to be a strength of 8. We're actually attacking this time with no plus, but a strength of 2 at +1. So 3 or less, well, we managed the only thing that wouldn't hurt us, whereas an 8 here out at 10, we kill 4. So we killed both of these. That's going to give us some nastiness, which determining, you know, once we see how much nastiness we get, and that green marker gets refreshed, essentially. Once that nastiness gets taken into account, we might make a decision to attack here as well, where we have an advantage. On the guys who, you know, we just worked together with, right? All right, so it's a combat. 2 settlements were destroyed, that's +1. And it's a base, so we get 4 chits, and these guys get 4 IP, which will make up for what they had to spend. But yeah, 4 chits is not nice. Massive reduction in migration. Settlements going up to +3 billion. They're not going into Earth, at least. A victory point, cool. And an initiative penalty, which, of course, always, that's the thing that will always apply, because you don't discard your escalation until the initiative chit comes up. So, we have a lot of bad stuff, and I don't really feel like we want to launch another attack based on that. Here, this would be 7 versus 7. That's nasty. And, of course, we'd be at +1. They would not. But I don't see launching that kind of attack either. So I think we did our one bad thing. And we're not thrilled about it. But we destroyed this. And here's what's important. We're going to be able to take this out, grab one of the 2 fauna. Be cool if you could capture conquer bases or something. Slave the people. On the other hand, down to nothing but good escalation markers, wants to launch an attack. At least one. We're going to do it over here. Again, we figure the Starfarers have taken enough damage and whatnot. We're going to launch an attack on this. We have a strength of 9 going against a 3. The 3 is going to have a +1 because our ship is kind of big. We'll use the red die for the attacker. Now, he's got +1 to combat, and that's it. Ooh, he's got +1 cargo capacity. What did that mean? That means we could haul both ore back to Earth. Is that our goal? No, we want to sell fine art. but it might be worth hauling the ore somewhere. I don't know. All right, we shall see. So our strength of 9 at 4 does 3 damage, and his does 2. This is the only ship that can be hit, so it takes 2 hits. Ouch, ouch. Which doesn't affect my cargo capacity at all. Okay, and what did I do? I did 3, which is going to drop this to a 1. Okay, let's see the cost for that. Combat. 2 settlements destroyed, but it didn't eliminate a base, so it's only 2 points. Ended up getting another goodie, which means making another attack might make sense. I've got one other place I could play. This guy probably should be making attacks too, or raids or something, but he didn't really have a great target. This thing's kind of good. Guess I could have beaten up on... No, this thing's got a lot of ships. I could have beaten up on the Starfarers, but I'm like, let's wait a little longer, see if an opportunity arises where we want to launch something. But here I have an 8. Now again, a lot of people have a lot of goodies. Do I want to launch this attack now to collect up more? The more negatives I collect up early, the more likely they're going to affect me before I get to the discard escalation. I'm going to have a few turns to play around with. So I think I'll hold off. I've angered the transhumanists, of course. I think I'll hold off and not make another attack, even though my chits say I should, for the same reason the Syndicate is not making another attack. And that'll put me into the cargo transfer and trade funniness that I do. So the Praetorians are shifting this ship over here with the goal of delivering a couple of ore and getting repairs a little cheaper. Although honestly, we could repair here, but I don't know. Yeah, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. We want to stay here because we're close to getting our goal. We'll put both the ore on there, just on my damaged ship, because I have the added cargo capacity, so I'm not limited to that one. But these ships are heading here to resolve this, getting out of this clusterfuck, and I actually picked up my colony and left. It still demands machinery, though, which is weird, right? Like, there's some residue of colony left. That doesn't go away because of that. But I'm like, look, you know, yeah, this is a good place, but this is almost as good, well, I don't know, not in terms of total population, but there's something I can resolve. There's going to be a bonus on the back of this. All sounds good to me. The problem, the Syndicate was planning on solving this too. And they're thinking whether or not they want, since they go higher in the initiative, they get the first shot at, the first crack at solving it. So if I time my stuff, or, you know, if I move my stuff, and I'm actually faster, but it doesn't really matter. I have this advantage. I have repair advantage. I think I do want to challenge them for that. I just have to balance out which ships are going where. A few odd shifts going on. Consortium sending a bigger fleet down here. This is an important location for their directive. They want to accomplish the directive and not have to... They'd get a free pick, you know, of 1 out of 2 or whatever, but yeah, they'd like to get the one they got. So they want to make sure they're the person who, or they get one of the successful surveys here. And so also scare the givers off. Right now, I'm not allowed to attack. I think the givers are. Yeah. So I want to make sure that I have something kind of frightening heading in there so that maybe they don't launch their attack. I did leave my guy off here. The transhumanists are sending a big 3 colonists here. That'll bring it up to a 10. That doesn't particularly help them, but what does is they want the fine art here. They actually, well, what they want is to sell two trade goods at Earth. So if I ship a bunch of colonists here, then I can bring the fine art back if I want or something, you know, and like at least have one of the two there. If I'm lucky, maybe I get a draw or something that allows me to do that. Yeah, that's going to put us to exploration. I'm going to pause for a bit and go find something to amuse myself. You know, I mean, it's like full daytime now. Maybe I convince myself to go shopping. It still feels like it's too early to go. Like, I don't even know when the supermarket opens, but I'm guessing it's before 9 a.m. I don't know. Well, the market was definitely open before. The problem is it's cold. It's around 40 degrees right now. It was colder before. I still don't know which way I'm going. Like, anyway, I'm up here to do the exploration. And with a couple of players having the enhanced CV exploration, still nobody's gotten over 2, but or over 1 counter in these. But we had a success here. And over here, we've got 1, 2, 3 successes. So initiative becomes important. We're looking at consortium and givers. Consortium goes first. That means the givers are not going to get a success. But the consortium is going to be able to try to upgrade this planet. And then the givers will get the final and get the chit. I noticed myself forgetting about this. They were allowed 7 ships. They didn't have the money for the additional ships, so that's okay. But right now they've got 4, 5, 6, and that's it. Again, so much game state. Second person with 2 of these, which is one of the titles out there to get to the third one. So it's kind of becoming a race. Over here we gonna solve this megafauna issue. That's gonna get us 2 IP, a flora, $1 billion for the extra flora. And we resolve this, which is going to create more flora production. There's no base here anymore, but again, there's that residual guy. Discoveries is definitely ramping up, maybe just because of the quantity of ships more than anything else. Here, I just missed the double pull, but I got this, the 5-pointer, which drops this. That succeeds in my directive. Complete a survey of Vega, great. I'll be drawing 2 more directives and choosing one. I also found the Shadow Fleet here. I found an illegal M-type planet there and was clever enough not to screw up this time. I don't know what this is, but whatever it is, it's massive and worth a lot. Produces a physics or engineering marker. Guess your choice. But right now, it means that this ship is going into something that it can't explore. Oy, oy, oy. But we got the IP, we got our victory points for that. We like survey issues as the Starfarers, so that's cool. And yeah, we play with throwing a bunch of directives into the anomaly bag and drawing. You know, one thing I could do is put them all in the same bag and just reach around and try to figure out by shape. That would wouldn't work too well. I don't know. I think the directives aren't happening that fast, so. Oh, this is not necessarily pleasant. My draws. One is this very valuable survey of Beta Aquilae, which is way out here. Long, long distance. But my REs are fast. How fast? Not that fast. I don't have, they're ×1. Which means if I flew out there, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4 turns to get there. Okay? Which isn't that terrible, right? And I have unlimited range on them, I think. and they're good. I think that's what I'm going to go for, just because the other one is a terraforming. Terraform a world into PHLO or M class. I have to have a base to terraform a world. Right now my bases are kind of limited. I'm trying to look. I got one here at Lumen, which, you know, yeah, I could. But it has to be a level 2 world to terraform into one of these other types. So I think this is actually my easier choice, crazy as it might seem. Significantly more victory points. I think the one was worth 2, and this is worth like 5 because it's so specific, so far out. But actually, I do think it's easier for me. Time to think. Because after this, we got a couple of successes here. It's only got 2. We have to check the initiative order. The transhumans are first. I'll probably go with this one, because if I get 2 successes, then I get this chit. With this one, I don't know. I could do mining to be safe, but capturing the chit becomes all the more important. And you know what? I forgot to give an IP for this guy capturing the chit. Now 3 players with, 2 of these chits. Oh my God, look at all this. Golly. And an anomaly was found by the first guy, and he got his IP for that. That's going to prevent any more exploration. That's fine. I don't think it prevents the survey results from being determined. So I think it would have been possible that he found an anomaly with his survey as well. I certainly checked for it. That looks like a pretty easy one, that whoever's going to have the initiative next turn, which is the transhumanists, can grab this, assuming nobody blows them up. Finish things off with a partial success for biomarker here, but also lost his ship, got a extra engineering one. That's going to put me down to develop tech and buy cards. I feel like I just should, and then make my decision as to whether or not I'm heading out, because I'm beginning to feel a little tired now. Like the wiredness is going away, but like it's supposed to rain all next week. Get to the first few players pretty easily. They're just catching up into locations, but the givers here bought this expensive research vessel upgrade. Expensive because they had to pay 5 more. Research ships can use their full exploration for research and count as +2 exploration value for anomaly and event resolution. If I remember it, right? It's really hard to remember these, especially because, the tech chart is like, yeah, I kind of remember where most people are on it. And who's ahead on it. But these are more individual and, for the first part, and also, less memorable because they just kind of blur. But it's worth 4 victory points. That's cool too. It was the only card I wanted to hold. I want to get rid of this other card, so I kind of don't mind. And the engineering, the other place. So there were a couple of places I could spend. I could have spent here to get that. I can wait. Terraform worlds, the smaller levels. I don't have a terraforming event up there yet. And let's see, the other thing is I have all these engineering points, but people are reducing the costs of the engineering who went ahead of me. So it's like, yeah, I'll get it cheaper next time. My replacement, I drew a level 3 fleet, which I can't buy yet, but I can draw the card. Max number of ships +1. Now, there are, and somebody has it. I think they bought it. Thought somebody had it. I guess nobody has it. There are ones that are cheaper. Maybe it's in his hand? No, I'm not going to remember where it is. I don't know. Somebody had one which is max, oh, here it is. Max number of ships plus 1. Extra must be an RE. A little bit cheaper. Same victory point bonus. And honestly, it's not that big a deal to like, yeah, the REs are definitely late in the game become less valuable. But it's like, I don't know if it's worth 5 more to up that. But the cost for me to get another level 2 would be high, so maybe this is my best answer to being able to get that. I don't know. Starfarers don't have a lot of points, didn't really like their cards. I think they set themselves up for this. They flushed their cards. Got a couple of level 2s, which, you know, they had like a level 3 in their hand. Yes, they can buy a level 3 actually now, but they're low in tech points, and I'm just like, this is a good turn to get rid of my hand. Sortium, I don't have a whole lot of tech. I have some engineering tech, and maybe could buy, you know, something like this. Maybe that. I'm not sure. What do I have? 9, 15, 21. Yeah, I could. But again, these are going to get cheaper. Now, I look at my hand, and I like this card, but I have nowhere near the points for it, right? It's physics, and I have almost none. But you know what I do have? I haven't bought a bio card yet. I don't really like these, but for the amount of victory points, why not? Unfortunately, I think I have to give up an extra point to do that, which maybe that's not a great deal. What if I buy a bio? Oh, I'm way in the lead in bio up here. This would be 17, and that would be expensive. So yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm collecting bio, but why don't I get a card with some victory points on it? Transhumanists close things off. They're going to buy this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So I can get them out of there. All right, let's see what we got. I don't think anybody bought anything that got them into new terrain. At these going up into there. It's one of the cheapest things they could buy. Similarly here. He wanted the CV5s. He kind of has enough money to afford them, but not to afford the base for them. So it's like, I don't know how good an idea it was. Increasing in there. And that's about it. We had a couple of card buys, which is kind of exciting. These go away. And I guess we set up for the next turn, and I decide whether or not I have the willpower to go shopping. Here it is Sunday morning around 6. I slept most of Saturday, which, you know, given that I ended up doing everything. I ended up going shopping Friday. I ended up going dancing with very little sleep, maybe an hour's nap in there. And so, yeah, I had to recover. On another bright note, I'm kind of getting into that, I don't know, a sort of a sick of playing Raid, and this sort of nervous energy type thing is still there, which is odd for me on, you know, the weekend. Usually all I can do is think, I want to die. I want to die. You know? Not because I'm sick or anything. It's just sort of a letdown from what little, you know, it's the little piece of life I have every week. And then I realize, yeah, but it's not enough to sustain anyone, you know? All right, let's see what we got here. Settlement growth and migration. I'm going to have to work with the rules to do this because I saw there were things that were not doing what I expect. Like, there were rules that didn't seem to be what I had done before. So, this I think can be done largely simultaneously. Let's look. Well, there's always the argument of, do you want to blockade someone? But let's get to the first bases. We got 2 bases here. We'll work this one first. For migration out of settlement, no. For growth, if it's 10 or fewer, it's going to grow by 1. Okay. And if it's bigger than 10, it grows potentially more. So these both are going to be a +1. But then they have migration, which is percentile of habitability. However, each full 10 settlements, this is what I missed. Of all bases, you have less than the player with the most. At all bases. That's the thing that I missed. And so I'm going to have to come up with a modifier number, a number of bases that each player has, and record that somehow. I think I'll do it on paper because I don't feel like digging out chits for this. There are none in the game that'll work. One of 2 places in the game where total number of settlements had to be counted. But it's different for the 2 different things. Now, one of them was for one, I think, I'm trying to remember what it was. It had something to do with combat, maybe a directive or something. I don't remember. Yeah, it was a combat directive that the Praetorians had, where they had to conduct a fleet battle against somebody who has the most settlements. Now that didn't say on bases, so it was everywhere, which was even more painful to count. But it's as if this is an important piece of information for which there is no tracking, and it's a pain in the ass to find. Like, is if that directive that the Praetorians had was based on the number that was calculated at this point during the settlement growth and migration, and that number just stayed the same until the next settlement growth and migration, so that I only have to calculate that once every 7 chits. That would get rid of the problem, and I might modify that if I see that kind of directive come up again. I doubt that there's another copy of it, though. I keep, little written totals of everybody. What's funny is, this is a very old school type of thing to have to do. And in a way, I don't mind it. Having to count everything up and keep track of it on paper or whatever. But this is a game that otherwise has gone out of its way to do a lot of stuff to fit more modern types of design elements, yet, which often annoy me, right? You have to remember that pulsed play and everything like that. That gets in the way of my enjoyment, where a spreadsheet type game like Stellar Conquest is not. But then it goes to requiring you to do this for some little edge thing. It's just like, this is a mistake, man. I would kind of want to throw this out if I was designing it as a truly modern game. Fair to myself, I may have ignored this requirement, saying it doesn't have any effect right now, because it doesn't have an effect yet either. The highest number of settlements is a 10. No one's at 0, and if you have 0, you're not growing. So, so I can ignore it this time too, but I'm going to keep this running total. I don't know where I'm going to put this thing, because anytime a settlement changes size, I'm going to have to update that. Or I can go through and recount. I don't know which is, the recount is probably easier than updating constantly, to be honest. So let's go through this again, because we did it once, at least, but I don't know. Things have gotten a little more complicated. So first of all, each player is at +1 here. Nobody's got the migration bonus that I just had to count. The population limit here is huge. It's like 58. Obviously, we're not going to be above that. But it's -10 because there's 2 people there, so it goes down to 48 per player, but we're at 4. So now, what is our situation? Increase migration chance by 10% if your bases have a total. No. Okay, so yeah, we're just going to do the percentile check. So for the consortium, we have to check to see if they have anything. All right, J and D worlds add to their population. There's neither there. And again, that's not really important. So the percentage here is 80%, and I have no pluses. So the consortium gets an 08, they're going to gain 2, right? Because you just add 1 settlement for migration. It's such a minor thing, and you're modifying the migration chance. Yeah, this just, it feels like counting the bases is just such a minor thing. What about here? Ooh, wow, we have no biotech. Or no bio improvements, genetic enhancements, I don't know what the hell they're called. So yeah, again, 80%, and we fail. So the givers get 1 extra, and the consortium gets 2. Kind of stuff, especially 3D stuff, the cups and things like that, I'm often losing my lighter in this game. We get a couple growth on each of these. When we get to this one, well, there's a problem. There's a no base here, which means it doesn't grow. Which kind of sucks. That's his big base. Forgot he has a minus 40% migration chance. So his chance at that extra point is lower. It's okay, he failed on both of his. Yeah, a little bit of steady growth because everything is small. They're only producing 1 automatic and 1 additional maximum. So nothing's over 10 yet. It's important because the colonies are gonna, once they get to over 10, they start using multiple counters for each base. So like the clutter increases over what it already is, which feels excessive. I'm gonna go down and check my raid situation and then come up. You know, I mean, even after sleeping most of a day, I still feel pretty exhausted after the dancing. 4 arrivals total. Gets us to the build and repair. Okay. Praetorians at their ship limit are choosing, they repaired this ship, which had a couple of hits on it, because it's at a base, okay. But they're going to choose not to repair, I think, this one. Although, I don't know. We've had Earth production, we've had base production, but there's only 1 chit left. So those could come up relatively soon, and I'm kind of willing to let a ship die so that I can build one later. I guess. I don't know. $3, it's not a big deal, but I don't know. The players are pretty tapped out, either in money or in ship capacity. Most of them in money. He has quite a bit, but he's up to his limit. The givers were the one exception. I don't know. I know I was over with them at one point, but now I built another ship, so 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't see another one. Maybe I lost something. Maybe I lost, I don't know. I know I was in a bad position. They're rebuilding, I think, the ship that they destroyed. I'm not sure. Anyway, they've got the capacity, even with a penalty for building settlements on Earth, to be able to ship some materials, to ship some colonists out there. Right now, I am at 4 maximum bases, according to the chart. And I've got 1, 2, a third one is going to show up here, a 4th one. So this is going to be a shuttling to fill in and expand my bases rather than anything else. And I can't expand this one. I really ought to... Nobody's in a position to like just build a ship and send it to solve the problem. Why did this ship not get repaired? It's pretty badly damaged. I repaired one, but it was a one-bucker. I think I'll find myself materials to throw away. Probably from Earth, in order to repair that a lot. Take a break there before combat. I don't know. It doesn't look like the camera captures it. Pretty little sunrise starting to show up there. I see a hint of the color, maybe. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe something else. Weird. I rightly know what time it is. Probably getting close to 9, but it might be 8. I don't know. Hard to tell. But I did go outside during the sunrise and hung out for a while. It started raining a little bit. Well, it was still clear where the sun was rising. Now it's all gray and it's supposed to be rainy all day. And I cooked some tempeh that I found about a week ago and unfortunately left outside of my fridge in my coat pocket. But it doesn't seem to be making me sick. So that's cool. All right, let's go on do do a little bit more of this turn at least. Oh boy, all the work I put into Vega, right? And now it's blocked, but obviously I must have succeeded. And I collected it. Okay. Didn't realize I had done that. Okay, cool enough. I also noticed that I hadn't repaired this, and I wanted to. This one I had decided not to. I think the reason that I hadn't repaired it is Starfarers had no money, so I just skipped their turn. I didn't even look, but I'm like, yeah, but they had 3 resources, 3 trade goods, so screw it. Yeah, they would repair that. I don't think I'm going to attack them. I don't see much point to that, although clearing this out of the way to hit that might be worth it. Like, I really don't like him settling. Well, he can't settle there. Except that I'm going to solve the problem. So he can settle there. And I would rather not have him do that. So I think I will launch an attack there. Looking at fleet combat, I'm not sure I want to send this in. And I'm not sure I want to send this in. Both of them are kind of vulnerable to damage. And I'd rather not see them wiped out, probably, I guess. I don't know. So I looked in the fleet combat, and it doesn't say here. Here it says you attack another player's ship with your ships. Choose one or more armed. Yeah, I think you. Yeah. So you get to choose what you send, and you can only send armed ones. All defending CVs are included. Okay. Sounds cool. I thought it was. My first reading didn't. I don't know. I think I'm not really aware. It didn't really sound that way. Yeah, so we got a 12 versus a 5. This does not apply. Ugh. Let's look over here. That's not it. Okay. 12 versus 5, add a die roll modifier equal to 1/10 the size of the CV. So it's going to be a +1 for the Starfarers, though. We'll let the Starfarers use the black die, I guess. I don't know. They roll a 6 with a 5 combat value, which will do 2 hits, and we roll a 2 with a 12 combat factor, which only does 3. Okay, the 3 are easy to assign. So let's just do them right off the bat. Oh, and he won't have any combat value after this. Okay. But the 2 hits is harder. Who gets first choice? The owning player gets to choose first where he wants to take a hit. So I'll probably take mine on the CV4, and now he gets to choose a hit on either of those 2 ships. Now, the CV4 will not have combat value, I think, if it's half. Yeah, can't even do exploration. Ooh. Well, that's a problem. Yeah, let's fuck that up some more. Because now it's not involved. And there's kind of the, okay, why does it have an exploration value, you know, with the minuses? It kind of gets zeroed out. The combat value doesn't go away, apparently. Okay. But that neutralizes this ship. This one's still able to solve the problem, so it's not that big a deal. What about the escalation for this? It's a combat, and that's it. Which means we get 1 escalation for the transhumanists. Settlements on Earth just got more expensive. This could be a big shocker. It's one reason you might not want to conduct combat. This is something that happens in between when you build ships and when you get cargo. Givers, on the other hand, unleashed an attack here, destroying 2 CVs, taking 2 damage themselves. That's going to generate 3 of these. By the way, I am handing out the IPs. Don't worry about that. Settlements get more expensive. Some victory points. And he's done attacking. The consortium got to go before the givers. Obviously, they didn't want to attack where they were at numerical disadvantage. They considered an attack up here, but they have a can't attack. Now, neither side can attack. I could actually get rid of this green marker, but is it possible? No, the initiative's not going to go away before that. And yeah, so that's 3 more IPs here. When CVs are destroyed, you get bonuses. Some tech advantage. Since I picked a can't attack as well, I don't have any other opportunities, although I might have wanted to make a fight here or something. Feels like they're going to war, like full scale now. One thing I didn't do, this was just the settlement growth and migration. I forgot about his edge. He had someone he could pick on here. A 4 or less, he converts a settlement over. He's also considering a raid. Obviously, a planetary assault would be a bad idea because these colonies are too big. I could do a ground attack and support it with my CVs, but even though I'd have the numerical advantage, I'm not really thrilled with the results of that. So I think I'll be doing a raid. But let's see if he gets let's see if he gets to take one. I don't know who I'd take from if I get it, so I'll roll first, think later. Like, normally you would want to declare, but, you know, screw it, man. Why burn the brain power on who's better to hit? But now I have to figure out the who's better to hit on this. Now, there's fine art here, which makes it appealing. So I'm going to go after that. Does yellow care about this? I don't know. They went 9 billion from base production. They were not able to get it last time, but they're getting close. They're, you know, this is quite large. But that doesn't count as 8 billion, right? That counts as plus 1 billion to the planetary value which isn't going to do it without terraforming. So, yeah. And you only get to pick one planet. Okay, let's raid. We got an 8. We steal or destroy a good of your choice. We'll grab the fine art. Now that does result in us picking one of these up. Worse initiative. An IP, who did we steal from? Yeah, we were going to go for this. We stole from the transhumanists. So we give them a little flag. They are allowed to attack back. Oh. And they've got a ship coming in, but this one may be leaving, so who knows. And I did not give him his IP yet. Okay. I think that's it. That's probably all Yellow's doing. Syndicate toyed with the idea of shooting at this. The reason is that they want more escalation markers. And they don't have a really good target anywhere else, I think. This is not appealing. Nothing appealing there particularly. But they'd basically be attacking with a 3 combat value to a 2 combat value, which is both on the worst chart. This is a bigger ship. I might have a +1. Nope. So we'd basically be rolling equal. I'm sorry. Oh, no. Wait, we're a little better. Yeah, let's go for it. We'll use the red die for the attacker. Well, he gets a shitty 3, but that's a point of damage, whereas this guy does a point of damage as well. And that's going to be... That's 4 hits on this. That's enough to destroy it, which means that's going to be 2 escalation markers and 2 IP. -3 to combat, initiative roll penalty, yeah, not great stuff. And we give the Starfarers another marking. In addition to the 2 IP they get, they're also going to get another bio and engineering check. The reasons the Praetorians want to launch another attack, they've got a lot of victory points built up there. I mean, they're probably not going to be able to hold them, but whatever. The attack doesn't hurt them. Now, there's a marker there. That must have been from last turn, and I forgot to remove it when the transhumanists went. But we're going to launch a ground attack here and throw the fleet in. So we've got 17 to 3. Now, the transhumanists get a +1 to the die roll, though. So they do a hit, but we're going to do something too. 17, we cause 8 hits. That is enough to wipe out that base, which is going to be expensive in terms of stuff. I guess we'll kill a colonist. A hit on a ship seems such a minor thing. But that base, 1 for the combat, 2 more for settlements destroyed, rounding up, 2 for the base. That means 5 chits and 5 IP over there. A couple more victory point markers. Some more reduction in Earth production, which really sucks, at a -1 to combat roll. I forgot about the +1 to the combat roll. That would have actually been 9 hits, not 8. Doesn't matter, I wiped them out. Could have actually attacked 2 people, but, you know, no real reason for that, right? So that was the most intensive combat we've seen yet in the game. I don't know what that means in terms of, you know, is combat going to escalate? Are people going to start shying away from each other more? What's going to happen? I don't know. But it definitely is beginning to show up as, there's reasons to fight. Sometimes it's, I want more escalation though, which feels weird. The warfare that the Givers undertook is really costing them. Normally settlements cost them 4. It's going to cost them 8 billion per. They had enough that they could have loaded that ship up. Now it's like, what the hell, man? What do we do? Oh, I don't know. I kind of want to dismantle the ship now. It's not really serving that great a purpose, and it's only a CV3. But I don't know. I'm up to CV5, but I'm like, I don't know. What's coming in? My own warship is coming in. I'm not going to get rid of my escalation chits in time. Is it worth 8 billion to send another colonist out? I don't know. Growth is important, man. So the Giver has fled from these enemy ships here. Decent amount of stuff going back to Earth. These, I didn't jump them right to Beta Aquila. Right now they have an RE movement rate of 1. That could hit 0.5 at some point, and it seems to me valuable to make my way towards Beta Aquila. Like, I could just do a 4-turn jump there, but if I get that speed up, now it's going to take a couple of turns, but if I get that speed up, I'll get there in about the same amount of time, even after doing a couple of explorations on the way. So why not, and make that kind of a goal. Not that I have a shit ton of physics. Physics is the important thing, I believe. Because this is going to cost 25, this is going to cost 25. So I'm probably not going to get the advantage, but get some more tech, see what happens, Maybe good shit happens, maybe not. I'll hold off there for the exploration. I'm probably going to go play my other game. It's funny, I felt like, a surge of energy around the dawn time and whatnot. And this feeling of, fuck it, let's just stop playing these damn things. But now when I'm actually faced with it, I'm like, I don't want to do cleaning. I know I'm going to have to, and it's going to happen, I think. I don't know, who knows. On the bright side, I'm choosing not to do the event. There's a fusion event. It looks like it's not going to really help me that much, and I don't want to do it. And that's for raid. The other thing, I don't know, I may just be going back to bed after I play for, the half hour or whatever that I'm going to. Evade sleep. It's getting to be about noon on Sunday. Let's hit the exploration side of things. We know we're going to have some places where some anomalies are dealt with. We had an exciting one here. A double success, putting him ever so closer to being able to pick up that title. An anomaly. He got his IP from it. Ice caverns. A little bit extra money for bases for whatever reason. The fuck up. And these are going to be pretty common. This ship was sitting here. Yes, it could. Actually, it couldn't do shit. So I moved it to Epsilon Indy where it can explore, which is still within range of Earth. They don't have any colonies out in this direction, so. This guy, unfortunately, is kind of fucked up. He's too beat up to do exploration. Now, I think I'm going to also move him because I found that out at some later point. He not only can't explore, he can't do mining, which I think, or no, science that he's available for. So he's going to head back to Earth, either recoup his costs or whatever, I guess, unless there's some closer base that I could repair him at. I don't see anything. I don't know what people think they're doing here. They had a big battle over it, so I can't try to fix anything. But let's start. This ship is able to, on its own, resolve this. The severe radiation, which will give a physics marker production if any bases show up. We'll look at that in a moment. As soon as that's done, this is kind of weird because it's simultaneous initiative for surveys, but it's not a survey. I don't know what happens. The transhumanists are the first, so they would get the first crack at it anyway, which means they'd open things up if this guy wanted to do something. Now, there's nothing he can do, but I do have a science ship and a mining ship, and that mining ship's not damaged enough, so I can do those procedures. This is maybe the first time I'm doing that. Now, there's a special capability here. And this sucks because ordering might matter, right? But there is a title for rolling a 1 on something. Rolling a 1 while researching. Not a terribly good advantage for it. And it's kind of expensive, I think. My eyes aren't very good here. Shit. Looks like it's 8 IP and worth 10 victory points, so definitely worth buying. Let's try these other things, which I don't know if we've done any. If we have, it's not much. First, we're going to do the research vessel here, which, pick a world in the system, roll a die. If it's less than or equal to half the world's research value, no, equal to the research plus half your ship's exploration. Okay. So his exploration's 2. I don't think he has anything that makes that better. I know that there's cards and stuff that make it better, but the highest research value looks like it's a 2 in either case, so we need a 4 or less. And on a 1, we got something to buy. We get a 1, so we get multiple successes. First, we get a tech marker of the type the world produces. They're equal, so we could have chosen either. We would choose physics, I guess. I think. I don't know. Sure. Why not? Engineering, there's a lot. By the way, when you pick a new world, like, sometimes you don't necessarily want to take the one with the lowest population as your target. I ended up replacing a world here that had a higher population, but I don't know. I kind of got a disadvantage by picking this, but this one has a special value for this system, which is a high money production, because it's a D, which is not desert. Of course, it is asteroid belt. That makes sense. Okay, what the hell am I at? We got our research shit. We rolled a 1, which means we're going to spend 10 for that title. And that title will give us some advantages. I'm sorry, not 10, 8. We get 1 extra point for research, for the world value for research. We get 2 back. Okay. And now, before I do anything else, we'd be pulling another research, another title. And that's important because the ordering that these are done. I've done this ship, it's this mining ship that's next. Hey, I have the titles as a deck, so I don't have to shuffle them up again. So this one is what? I can't read. Have a base with at least 15 settlements. That's going to happen pretty soon. And that adds habitability for migration at all your bases. Nobody's taken a 10 science anomaly yet. We came close. This one people could do. This one hasn't happened yet. This one hasn't happened yet. Okay. I forgot about the sell 3 trade goods at Earth. But nobody's set up yet to do that. That means we do the mining, which is similar. Let's find it. Mining ships can mine. I don't have bases there, I hope. Pick a world and roll a die. Okay, we get either $1 or $2 billion off of this. So our value is a 2. The highest mining is a 4. Our value doesn't matter. Okay, so on a 4 or less, we'll get $2 billion. We get $1 billion. I mean, it's not going to make a huge difference, but that's a repair or something. And given that we were all clustered here to fight for whatever reason, I don't know why everybody's there and didn't leave, but whatever. Yeah, they could have left after the fighting, right? So, yeah, I don't... He wanted to resolve the anomaly. He wanted to do this. Let me figure some of these other ships and get them out of there, because they shouldn't still be there. Pulled one away under the guns here. And I'm looking for the other gray one. Not this guy. These were both useful. This one resolved the anomaly. The other one went here. It's kind of interesting. I've got a big enough base here that I could explore the next layer out with those. I was going to move here, but then I realized, wait, I used that ship for the anomaly. Again, into the amount of game state that's on the cards and the other pieces. So, like, this guy has this 1 extra damage for his... oh, no, this is the recovery. He can take 1 extra damage on his CVs. I don't know who ran away. Somebody ran away and went to go do something. Oh, I think this guy, because he used that big 1.5 movement modifier, which actually is a 1 movement modifier. So I don't want to go there anymore. I want to go here. Because my 1.5 goes down to a 1, I can bring them in here. There's exploration there and other stuff. But if it was like a damaged ship or something that I was pulling out, it might have been able to do something, you know, because it would have a 1 higher damage rating, so its halfway point would be up higher and whatever. Anyway, I'm on what I think is the last, because these haven't arrived yet. We managed to find something there. The thing with, you know, all the different places you got to look and everything, it's just going to introduce error as far as I'm concerned. When there's this much game state you have to keep track of. And it's the same problem I had with EU Pop, is that I'm just having to look in so many different places. The tech chart, the players' cards, their special abilities, you know, and obviously solo it's going to be harder than otherwise, but the tech chart is going to be actually probably more difficult to deal with in an opposed game, unless it's, you know, maybe projected on a screen or something, because it's a relative, you know, you have to go over and kind of look at it and figure it out regularly and everything, and try to find the specific things. Yeah, you don't have a lot of these, you don't have a lot of these. Those become a lot easier, I think, when you're playing alone, or when you're playing one faction. But the tech chart is this massive set of information that isn't going to be easy for everyone to be able to access, as opposed to the stuff that's right in front of you. Whereas when I'm playing, you know, 7 factions all by myself, The tech chart's actually the easy part. It's remembering, do I have to look at these cards? Do I have to look, is there a special ability that takes effect or whatever? And just, there's just so much of this state out here that I can't keep it in my mind any longer. Anyway, that takes us up to the developed tech. I gotta shuffle those discarded cards now. I know it doesn't happen till here, but it should have happened last turn. Victorians are at a point where they'd have to spend some money that they don't want to spend or whatever. And they weren't that thrilled with their cards, but boy did they get an interesting one. Stabilized wormholes. Treat systems where you have bases as adjacent for movement purposes. I had to think, what the hell does that mean? Well, it means that if I have a base here and a base here, I can use the CV movement rate as though it was just one space away. That's pretty cool. That is really cool. And that's something, I don't know how many of them there are in the game. There's probably no more than 2. There might only be 1. That's going to give that player a massive advantage. He really wants that. That might be worth throwing a lot of the influence in for. The tech tree later, although somebody hit CV6 this turn. Strangely, he's the one person who's ignoring biology in a lot of ways. He cannot settle systems that are below a 60% threshold. But let's see, the consortium who has a lot of bio, bought this reduced body size. Treat all systems as +10 maximum population. But it gives you a -1 to ground combat and planetary assault rolls. This is weird, but it's like kind of cool. I don't think this has taken effect yet. He does not have a lot of bases. This doesn't happen just on his turn. Systems where you have a base get both demand markers. So like that system becomes better, but I don't think there's any kind of fill-in that it happens there. Now, I may have fucked up and noticed, oh, I needed to draw one for there or whatever. After he got that card, I don't know. Anyway, we're on the last one. This was one of the big bugaboos for me. It's becoming easier. Maybe it's just proportionally easier. Maybe I'm just getting used to it. The things that are getting harder, the exploration side is getting harder. Movement's getting more complicated. Obviously, combat's getting harder because it's actually happening now. Now, if he pulled a level 1 card instead of going for a heavier card, because he doesn't have a lot of bio after buying that, and isn't really expecting much. Let's look at what we got here. So we have somebody else who moved up to CV5s, and because the price was 11, it's going to keep going down. So everybody else kind of is like, I can hold off another turn. Next turn's not going to be a turn when I can really build ships in addition to what I did before. Like I said here, the Syndicate went up to CV6. The Transhumans went up to the faster REs. They didn't really care about it. They're kind of holding cards, I guess, and whatnot. And again, they weren't excited about either of the engineering prospects. This one is going to get cheaper next turn. This one, well, it's just not that exciting, you know? I mean, neither is this, but I wanted to buy something. I could have bought the CV malfunction rate reduction, but I think I'm actually interested in a bio card. I don't know. Yeah. So I'm really interested in this one. It's exceedingly expensive. I'm not going to get that. Increased body size is sort of the opposite of reduced, but it's not as bad. It's plus an IP at the start of each turn, which is pretty nice, but you get less maximum population, but a bonus in ground combats. And this quantum sensor, I wasn't all that excited about. This is the one I'm really excited about, but I'm not going to be able to get this because I'm not producing the biotech tech that I want. part of why I'm not advancing on it. What else? He made his way up to the harsh space environment again. 6 out of 7 are there. He made his way into the terraforming. A slight bonus on terraforming. It's a big deal. The next shit is terraforming, so, it's like, yeah, this is the turn to go for it. But I guess the big one is an IP for these guys. CV6s are really good for them. They got like 2 of them, and they have enough money to build one, but not to build the colonists that go with it, so it's kind of, I don't know if it was that great a buy, but being able to get the IP at this point made it more attractive, and now we are on the setup for next turn. That's definitely it for a while. I don't know, what I'm going to do. Might motivate. They're kind of more difficult for me in some ways, not because there's no, I know Sunday's known as like, the weekly news shows and everything, but for me it's like I'm less interested in those than I am the daily shows that I watch. And what that kind of means is I end up watching other videos which are less like time constrained or anything. So it's not like it's really difficult. It's just I'm less. I feel less compelled to be linked to the video so much, and I'm done with what I want to do with the games. So at least for a while. So I got a few hours. It's possible. I managed to actually get some stuff done. I swept my wife's bedroom out and the hallway down there and got some laundry going, some bedding that she had left there. And let's see what we get here. Yeah, we get another 3. But yeah, we know what it is. It's terraforming and add worlds. Okay, cool. Well, last time nobody could terraform, basically. I think there was one, I think the Givers obviously could, but I don't think anybody had reached. Maybe one person had. But now, and it's been a long time, so yeah, they'll have twice, and they have a bonus. The consortium has that bonus as well, if they're upgrading a 2-sided world, and 3 other people are going to get to play. I guess this is done in initiative order, so we'll start with the transhumanists. Ideally, this maybe should be done in reverse initiative, but I don't know. I think they only have 1 base, which is pretty pathetic, to tell you the truth. And we got to make a decision here among the worlds. We get to flip one of these. This one goes to a 2-6. This one goes to a 3-8. So it would increase significantly in money. I guess it's just money that gets increased. And 2-2. The 3-8 sounds the most appealing because this isn't going to gain any more. And this actually becomes the best world for all things. Might not want to replace this with a better type of world. Kind of feels like you shouldn't be able to terraform a gas giant, right? I don't think there are any limitations, though, on it. Place the old world with a newly, if the one has a higher but not more than 10 higher than the printed value. So you could turn the gas giant into something, and then you could, oh, wait, here. Gas giants, asteroid belts, and Earth-like moons cannot be terraformed beyond their 2 side. Okay. It's going to be hard to remember, but yeah. All right, so that's theirs. That puts me to the consortium, who has the special ability, but yeah. And I'll just look. The givers might be are able to do a double, so they might be able to do something neat. Worked my way through the first 3 who all got it. Remembered now to give them their IPs for upgrading from a 1 to a 2. For the givers, things are a little more complicated. So I can't upgrade this. I was thinking about upgrading these 2, but that would only get me 2 IP, whereas I'd get 3 IP if I upgrade this or this twice. But there's a danger. First of all, it's not guaranteed, because I pull 2 worlds and have to basically get one with a newly drawn world with a higher max population that's not more than 10 higher than the printed value. I also might be getting rid of types of worlds that I don't necessarily want to get rid of. Like, I have interesting production off of Ks. That allows me to produce ore. Rare materials are off A's and D's. I don't have any of those here. Notably, I can't do anything here, even though there's an A here, that's upgraded already, because there's the no base. I can't terraform that. So, I don't know. Do I want to double upgrade? You know, do I want to upgrade singles twice, or do I want to double upgrade something? What would be really useful is to have a manifest of what goods are produced. So I don't know what is produced in H's. And that's kind of important, right? H's are, I don't know what. I can make some guesses based on that. H's are arid. Spice, it produces spice. Beverages? No, they're desired there. I don't see much that produces H's. So I think I'm going to double produce here. So I shift that, and then I go to the world bag, and I'm allowed to pull 2 worlds because I have the special ability there, and choose which one to use. Well, I lose. 26 is more than 10. I can't put the 7 there, so all I get is 1 terraforming IP. Instead of the 2 that I was guaranteed if I was wiser. And then the final was yellow, which had upgraded, or somebody had upgraded this. I don't know if yellow did or gray. Probably gray. But they chose to, yeah, gray just upgraded that. They chose to upgrade the M. They're really happy about this. This means they're going to make their directive, assuming that big 10-point colony doesn't get knocked out. I reshuffled the deck, and we're on reduced transfer markers. I need to check my laundry situation. Put a big comforter thing in. It's not been reacting well. At least the washing machine hasn't. Well, it seems to be working well enough. I know my wife must have managed to wash it. She, unlike me, was not a complete slob. There was a directive sitting over here. I think it's just one that spilled out or something. I can't figure out why it existed otherwise. So it's back in the pile now, and it's time for ship arrivals. It's got to be a record in terms of total number of arrivals I've had. The big clusterfuck is here at Altair, where Praetorian and Syndicate have both injected themselves in, probably attracted by this. And I detected I fucked up again. And I don't know when it happened. These guys do not have an extra ship. They have extra cargo capacity. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't think it counts as a destruction to give them anything. I don't know. Oops. Oh boy. I think nobody did anything. We got places here, where repairs could be made, but money's awfully tight. And it's like, yeah, you know, this is CV3, it can take another hit. The CV4, it can take another hit. Money's tight on everyone. These guys might have had enough. No. The one ship, we did build this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But they're allowed 7. Someone had an extra CV, didn't they? Or an extra ship. I swear someone had one. I thought it was the Praetorians who had it. No, they bought this instead. And they got rid of... Yeah, I thought somebody had the allowance for an extra ship. Oh well. Getting close to midnight on Sunday, and as usual, I try to fuck around with my sleeping schedule or whatever, and it doesn't work. I was very tired. I went to sleep. I tried to go to sleep, and yeah, kind of, you know, dozed a little bit with a video on, but ended up, you know, in bed for like 2.5 hours or something without really sleeping. All right, let's get to the combat. My way most of the way through without anything happening. This guy also is not. But I want to note something about these little, you were attacked last turn things. For the most part, unless it's in the same system, and like, you know, you both have forces, maybe you got reinforcements in there or something, it's really unlikely that you're going to have another opportunity to hit someone. It's not like, you know, like let's say everybody kind of segments their bases and tries to keep themselves out of a combat zone, and somebody attacks someone else in one of their bases. You're not in a war where, like, you know, it's not like Pearl Harbor gets hit and you'll eventually be able to strike back or something like that. By the time you get your forces into a position to do any damage to the enemy, if he like wipes you out or something, you no longer have that opportunity, and you're drawing escalation shits. I had one I was considering, which was an attack here, maybe like a raid or something. But honestly, it just didn't seem worth it. He already went. He was pink and yellow. Well, wait a minute. He has a freebie against yellow. That makes a raid not a bad idea. I don't want to do a ground attack someplace. And one of the things I was considering was this guy has a -2 to his attack dice, to his combat roll. But if your die roll is 3 or less, you're on this column. So you're going to do some damage unless you're tiny, no matter what. Which is kind of like, yeah, I don't know about that. But yeah, I think I'm going to do the raid as my retaliation there. Now that's going to give red a chance to whack me back. I'm bigger than red. Or no, I was going to hit yellow. Okay, hold on. Yeah, because it's pink and yellow that I can hit. Okay. Yeah, I would be in a position where yellow would have a chance to hit me back right away, but I'm not anywhere near I'm not in yellow's stuff. So yeah, I think a raid is worth doing. And there I get a 7. I get to steal or destroy a good of my choice. I don't have room in my cargo bay. He doesn't have any goods, so I don't get anything. What I do though, is I put a little gray marker on yellow. I passed on this. And I'll give him a chance to attack back. Now, if both sides are playing and keep striking each other, this can go on forever. So, like, if you send raiding parties out to other people's stuff. But, yeah. That was the only combat we had. Even the Praetorians, see, they've collected up enough escalation that drawing, you know, a couple more wouldn't be a good idea right now. And I can't do something little like a raid or something. I'd have to actually hit a ship. I don't want to do that. So that's the end of combat. And that'll put us to the cargo transfer, and then I also do the movement after that. There's a big issue with transshipping into places like this. It seems perfectly reasonable and everything, but now I'm sitting here and I could drop these 3 guys off, and then I'd have a colony size 12, which would put me up, produce more trade goods possible, hold more, whatever, produce more money, nothing else really. Be able to run bigger ships further out is another facet to it. But I think that's my only base. So I think I want to jump on further and not just drop those guys off. And, you know, picking up the beverages doesn't really make sense. It's, I think, a better idea to get a base at size 3 or whatever. But there's just sort of this tendency of, oh, I can dump people and move back, you know, and keep pushing forward. Yeah. But I think I'm better off continuing my movement and make another hop, which is what I intended. And like this ship is coming in and it's providing, you know, some defensive support. It was able to make a raid, which we recorded there, yeah, and stuff like that. So, you know, leaving it in, making a longer ride doesn't make sense until you hit that, the CV movement 1.5, where, or the 0.5, where it's like cheaper to go 2 hexes than to go 1 hex and then 1 hex. To the givers, I have a difficult decision to make. I have a directive to sell rare materials at Earth. That'll get me another directive. And I think that's the way I'm going to go. I have 1 rare material that I'm hauling to Earth. Over here, though, there's this one, which I think you have to do all at once. Sell 3 trade goods at Earth, and then you can buy this. And it's kind of like, I would love to do that, right? Get more victory points for this, get some influence from the special ability there. But unless I get more trade goods, it's not going to really help me. And I'm looking at this, and there's no real reason for me to do that. I think I want to collect that directive, get another directive for it, essentially. Let's see what we get here. I'm selling at Earth, so it doesn't have any bonus for that. I get 6 plus Earth is an M. I get 7 for that. And where's the influence chart? Selling off Earth is worth an IP. Okay. We're here in a kind of painful position. Oh no, this is just one little ship. Yeah, we're not going to be able to deal with this. Now, this ship is 13. It can't really do anything. Surprised I didn't get beaten up. He has a minus to his combat die roll though, so. I mean, I can only go range 2 from Earth, which I think means maybe I try to slip up here with that ship to do something. I don't know. Work my way through the movement phase. The giver's not allowed to attack. Yeah, okay. I was just going to say, wow, that thing's pretty vulnerable, although attacking an Earth is painful. This ship is really iffy. I have no cash. I have influence. I don't feel like influence is worth spending for $1 each. Maybe if I was $1 short, 1 influence, whatever. But at 2 tech for one of them, or it feels a little bit better because it costs $1 billion to get 1 tech. So, the valuation of these is higher on at least one factor, but it's also worth, a half victory point, and money's worth nothing. These guys have nothing and would love to be able to build a settlement to haul with this ship. Now, I don't really want to leave this ship lying around there doing nothing. I am well below my maximum. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ships on the board, and I'm allowed 7. So it's like disbanding it for $5 feels like kind of a bone too. I could send it here and mine. That's not a bad thing. We're seeing some exploration with CVs beginning to hit this column now, which is pretty impressive because people have big enough bases to handle them out there. His speed's not that great. He has no goods. If he had trade goods anywhere, he could be buying people. I'm almost thinking that the $5 is worth more to me because it's going to take like 4 turns for me to get anywhere I want to go. The inner circle is is completely explored, so it would take 4 turns. So I think I'm going to actually cash this ship in, and I had to look something up there, which is you can voluntarily destroy your own ships at any time. If you destroy an undamaged ship in the Sol system, you get cash equal to half its cost. This does not give you engineering or bio points. It's a terrible deal if I want that ship next turn or something, right? But I don't think I want that ship. I can build up to CV5, so if I have extra money, I can build something a little bit bigger and carry almost as many settlers. This kind of big hauler just doesn't make a lot of sense, I guess is what it comes down to. And I think I'm done with movement for them. Now, I could start building a base here, but I'm over in this corner. I have room for 1 more base. I have 3 bases down. I have 1 more I can build. I've got another ship coming in here, but this is sort of the waypoint theory again. I want to move so that I've got this base further out so that it's easier for me to expand. I ran into another problem. Looks like this was collected here. I think he actually did this because green was already out before this turn. I think he got this marker. Right? No, that's a biomarker. No, he doesn't have a world marker. Yeah, so Epsilon Eridani has been solved, and I don't have it, which that is my requirement. I think I get to check that in and get another directive for free. I don't get the points for it. It would have been better at the moment that I noticed it, but Not my option. 8 billion or 4 billion using mining ships or combat blockade the player with the most settlements. Well, shit. See, the mining ships isn't trivial. First of all, I don't know if I have any. Like, I have the capacity. I got a couple of them here. No combat capabilities. The next level I get at... Looks like I don't even have 5s yet. You start getting some... I get 1 there. So what's the chance with mining ships? To earn 4 billion using mining ships, and it has to be all at once, right? Because of that dictum about there's no way to remember this. Pick a world in the system and roll a die. So you can get 2 from a single mining ship. So I'd have to build a couple of mining ships. That sounds really hard. But on the other hand, this doesn't look easy either. Blockade the base of the player with the most settlements other than you. Green might have the most settlements, and I could blockade this base. Now, that would happen... base production, I think trade goods I can do it on. So I think I might be able to do that. He's got 11, 12, 13. Yellow's got 12 showing. I think I'm going to take this combat one. I'm not thrilled about it, but... because that causes an IP to be generated. I'm sorry, an escalation to be generated. But it looks easier. This mining ship thing looks really hard. I'd have to get, what is it, 2 successes? Like, I think you get I don't remember. Pick a world in the system and roll a die. Earn 1 billion or 2 if you get the world cash production value or less. I'd need to be successful with 2 mining ships. And that's kind of iffy. Problem. I could maybe blockade this. But it's tapped out. There's nothing for that ship to do there. Ooh, this one's faster than he. He's a fast ship. He actually gets there at 1.5. I don't know that I want to go further away, though. But what I could do is work my way towards... I don't want to land in here. I'm outgunned. I won't be able to blockade that. But I could work my way, you know, towards this. Although that doesn't get any production. I don't think it can be blockaded because of the this. So I've got kind of this problem. I could let this ship just sit out here doing nothing, hoping to get that directive. Because it's worth a couple of victory points, man. It's not one that I care about. The other option is I could pay an IP and draw a new one. It might be the best option, except that I've swapped bags again and have all the directives over there. Yeah, I don't know what to do. I feel like I kind of have to just patrol there because of this, which sucks. Okay. Fair amount of running away from places. First of all, there's places that are filled up. Like I boosted this up to a 12 population, which there's no real need to do, but I want to ship back. I don't know how much money I have, but I have some. I could pick up another trade rails, one higher to research. I actually had a research ship here that I could have used for the research technique. I don't think that's that worth it. And these ships are able to run off of this. Actually, they were able to run off the 9 that was there. But yeah, I just want to ship stuff. Now, these goods, they're safer on Earth, but it doesn't really do me any good to move them to Earth. They can't be sold at Earth. So it's like, let's just leave them here. At the very least, maybe Alpha Centauri will want beverages for some reason. You know? Yeah. But here, I'm running away from these guys, basically. Like, yeah, I don't have a base there, so yes, I could research, but the research numbers aren't great. They're 2s. I don't remember how research works. It's different from mining slightly. You can research, pick a world in the system. If you roll less than or equal to half, the world's research plus half your ship's exploration, you get a tech marker. So that would give me like, and I don't know, maybe there's something here, right? I'm looking, I don't see it. But that would give me like a 4. So I'd have a 40% chance of getting something. Just getting a research chit. Here, I have a 9, 10. I have a guaranteed 100% chance of getting a research chit and might get more. I might find, you know, an anomaly or whatever. So exploration is definitely better than research. And, you know, yeah, I'm running away this turn, so I would be able to do it a turn earlier. But or I'd be able to do this turn instead of in a couple of turns. But I gotta run away anyway because that thing's coming. So yeah, this puts me to exploration. I feel pretty wiped out, so I'm gonna break. 7:30, managed a couple hours of sleep, then woke up, my eye is itching like mad. I'm assuming there's some kind of little infection in it. Decided to make myself coffee. I might be going back to sleep soon, but let's get a little bit done. Exploration phase. I had to do a little thinking about this one. Hey, did I screw up? Yeah, I remember why he's there, but I'm not thrilled about it. You guys gonna resolve the ice caverns here? What does that do? Some cash production, but I get 2 IP for now. And here also, these two together can resolve this science issue here, the system quarantine. It's gonna give me a couple of IP, a couple of biomarkers. And it will generate as well. All exploration, not very effective this turn. I think in part because I kind of neglected my tech chart advances. Like I caught myself partway through not thinking about that. I don't know how much it affected, but I started taking them into account partway through. Anyway, I guess it's time to buy more useless tech that I don't actually activate. TruePath picked up this RoboMiners. It's going to give me an extra $1 billion because from every base that I pull cash from, because I know my directive tells me to pull cash, I might as well get a couple extra bucks. It's worth a lot of victory points. It was only 13 points to get. You know, this is going to be $3 cheaper next turn, going down to what, like 6 or something. So yeah, I might as well wait on that rather than pick up a tech space that I'm not sure that I want that much. Who was it? These guys. So I really, really want this big physics card, but I don't see how I'm going to get to it without spending a shit ton of influence. One picked up a new tech, a big tech, or a brand new tech. Praetorians slide into there. It was, relatively cheap. Syndicate into here, again, going for a relatively cheap one. Whole bunch of people, and that will fill this out, went for this. Now I gotta remember the transhumans did not get their ships yet, so I gotta pull those out. And no one in the biotech. Okay. And that's end of turn. I set up the turn. Enough about the raid of it. Somebody corrected their impression of it and has convinced me that, hey, I would have gone for the event that's ongoing if it weren't for the fact that, like, I'm in this weird sort of state where I don't know if my buddy's actually going to come up this weekend or not. Like, he hasn't said anything, and I'm not the kind of person to ask a question. Like, hey, are you actually coming? What's going on? And, I think he's flying in, and plans, should be arranged as to what kind of time or whatnot. But I don't know. Maybe he has some special way of flying where he's like shows up at the airport, trying to get tickets cheap or something right at the end or something. I have no idea. I have another friend who I know does shit like that with cruise ships. But it's like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. And he was talking about airlifting, I assume, ordering through Amazon, like an air mattress. He hasn't asked me for my address. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know about this. And again, just like the same shit with my dad. It's like my brother contacted me to tell me stuff about that, where it's like, yeah, apparently them leaving him off oxygen for most of a day may have been what a big setback was. And now he seems to be recovering a lot better than they thought he would. It's like, but I don't keep asking. I somehow I just can't pester people about stuff. Just something internal to me. Anyway, whatever's up with all that, I'm okay with missing this. It's not like, it was a borderline case either way for the raid thing. But, and, in terms of like my buddy coming up, it's not like it's an emergency that I find out. It's only a good thing if I clean my house, even if he doesn't come. And, I gotta make some change. Yeah, I don't know why I like capture this kind of stuff on camera. Show you that I'm actually playing. We get Earth production. Nothing too exciting there. We're still in the 2300s, so same as last time. That row. Pile of arrivals here. And production is definitely the turn because you are guaranteed to take cash. Usually with base production, I take a lot of tech. You could grab cash on that, but you're trading the tech away, and tech seems more worthwhile in general, at least at this stage in the game still. At some point or another, tech's going to start becoming maybe kind of irrelevant. I don't know. It's hard to tell because there's a limited amount of tech available on the board. Not really, because you can go research other people's base. There's going to be plenty of places that you don't have bases that you could do research on. But, yeah, so it's kind of like, but that's going to lower the amount of tech you get off the board. But the thing is, with the bases, I kind of feel like you want to grab tech and, get these advantages, even if I ignore them a lot of the times, as quickly as you can, because then you can operate more rapidly and get bigger ships and whatnot. But this is the turn where you're guaranteed to get a big wad of money. Although Some people got less than others. You know, I forgot to look at these two. I looked at everybody on this side of the board to make sure that I took care of, you know, some of them had pretty hefty reductions in the amount of money they have. Looking for reductions, but this guy gets an Earth Production +1 engineering marker. Nobody else has one of those type of things. Reason, and I don't know why, I'm having real trouble with the givers. I think I'm not seeing their color of their ships. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're over again. Now I just destroyed one of their ships. Like for this reason before. And they don't have any fucking REs out there, so I can't kill that. I think I just built this one. I'm going to give them back the cash for that and the settlement because they couldn't have built it. And I'm tired of just like wrecking their ships because I can't see their color combination. Let me count again because I was low before. 1, 2, 3. This is them. 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Big deal because they spent like $8 billion on this settler. Although I don't know if this is the ship that they built. Like, what the fuck? Isn't that the ship that I destroyed? I don't know. I have to remember the true paths escalation marker. I don't know if they violated it or not, because I feel like they did something violent at some point not long ago. They're only allowed to attack people who have more escalation than they do. I think if they did, it was against the consortium, who probably did at the time, but I'm not positive. This is important because they're sitting here with this nasty big pair of ships, one that came in with the fine art and one that they just built. But that means that the Starfarers, for example, can feel safe from them. Can they feel safe from everybody else? No. So I got to count ships from other players. But I know that this big pile is not a danger. This is a possible danger to me, but it's not that much bigger than the biggest ships that I could build, or biggest ship that I could build. The problem is, what I'd really like to build is this ship, which is not good at combat, but could carry a lot of passengers. And maybe I want to hold off. It's just, with this many players on the board, it's hard to tell if I'll get a chance to launch that anytime soon. And so, yeah, I don't know. Well, we still got plenty of ships coming in at Earth. A lot of people don't have room for more ships, like the givers. Whatever. And some didn't feel comfortable. I considered building a transhumanist probe here, one of the REs, but I think they're full up on ships. It's hard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's all they're allowed. So yeah, they wouldn't be able to build one effectively. I'm in some danger though, like this can get destroyed. I don't know why I'm sitting there. Oh. Is green safe? Not really, but they might not want to add more escalation just to wipe out somebody who maybe is doing well, maybe not. It's really hard to evaluate the game state and tell who's doing really, really well. One thing you could do is look at the tech chart and say, hey, who's doing really well on the tech chart? But there you see like the Starfarers are doing pretty well, at least on the engineering side, but they're not doing badly anywhere else. And they got a lot of big point things. They're gathering up IPs and everything. They've got a directive completed, which not many people have. And remember, you have to get like 4 of these, right? How far are we through the game? Well, we're at about halfway before the checks start happening. So, you know, it could, I don't know, you know. Certainly some of the directives become easier to get as the game proceeds on. You know, things like that beta Aquili. There's just no way you could get that early in the game. But yeah, the directives, it seems pretty hard to get your 4 directives and not take your penalty on that. There's penalties for not filling out the tech chart, all kinds of stuff. You might not end up with a positive score. Let's get this die off of here. It'll confuse me if it's there. But yeah, we've got a messy situation, and the game is definitely challenging me in terms of like being able to keep track of everything that's going on. Especially, you know, now I've got like trade goods showing up that I want to sell at Earth, but I don't necessarily have, like, I don't necessarily want to do it now because there's this directive or title up here, which is for 3 goods at Earth, but there are people who have directives for 2 that, like, yeah, it would be kind of cool to just get that out of my hand, you know. It's supposed to still rain today. I don't know. It's supposed to rain in the, it says PM rain. The last time I had this happen, it didn't happen until like, I don't know, after it was already dark. And yeah, that's PM, but not what I was expecting. Right now, it's coming up on PM, and it's looking brighter than it has all day. But anyway, I managed to get the largest room in the basement cleaned. Not completely. There's still sort of a hallway part of that room that I've got some boxes in I don't know what to do with, but I got most of them out of the way. My recycling container is full at this point. I decided instead of holding boxes for everything, which both myself and my past wife like to do for whatever reason, I'm just like, fuck it. I'm throwing them away unless I can burn them, you know? And yeah, it's cleaner than it's been in, I don't know how long. I'm thinking like, certainly since 18. So like 7 years, you know, because I don't remember if it was the first or second year that I was here where things went to hell in, kind of sounds like rain. It's just wind. That things went to hell with the flooding and everything. And I had to clear out a room that's a storage room, basically, which is officially one of the bedrooms in this house, but it's got like a concrete floor, and now it's got all the walls all got ripped out, and I had somebody come in and put them back up, but it's where the sump ended up going. But yeah, I've only used it as a storage room, but I had to clear everything out of it first because it was flooded, and then because I had the guys come in to put the sump in, and slowly, you know, I put a bunch of stuff in after I got the walls fixed, which took me several years. Actually, yeah, I think I had that done like just a couple of years ago. So that was a mess for a long time, and you know, but this room has not been cleaned in that long, which is not shocking. My bedroom has been cleaned in that long, but there's other places in the house that haven't. Anyway, I have no one to go like brag that I actually did something, you know, to anymore, which is why I do it on video, along with everything else. It's the only place I have to talk to anyone. Let's get to the combat. Interesting question coming up with this guy here. Doesn't appear that when you block, oh, they only have their production. You don't even cut it down. When you blockade, I don't think that counts as an attack, which is important because he has a, you can't attack. But I could see that going either way, really. What I'm doing is I'm going by the letter of the rules. I can't find anything that defines a blockade as an attack, right? But when I think about the reality of the situation, it's kind of an act of war, you know? And here's the thing. Let's see. Attackers can choose not to draw if the defender's side included any ship that attacked them either this turn or last turn. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Ground attacks, not including ships, don't cause one of these little attack markers that I put down as well. Again, following the letter of the rules, feeling like the spirit wouldn't really apply there. Now under raid, which feels kind of like blockading and certainly less violent than ground combat. Of course, it's only ground combat, not including ships. It says you attack, and it's under combat. Each one of these say you attack. Blockade doesn't have its own rules here in the combat section because it's not a combat, you know, it's not something that happens in the combat phase. And it doesn't say that it's an attack here. Again, I just don't know. It's also under, hold on, it's also under selling goods, right? I thought there was a blockade rule here. Maybe not. Maybe blockade does not affect cargo transfer? I thought it did. I don't think blockade affects cargo transfer either. Just, you know. There, though, there's like a ship that could be dealt with on its own with an actual attack. So it's kind of a different situation than the abstract production capabilities. No one chose to engage in combat. We get down to the cargo transfer trade. We do the trade portion, then we go to cargo transfer and movement. I think I found another, uh-oh. So, I don't know what the hell I was doing, but this guy can't go here. I don't know why I thought he could. Just 7. Maybe I misread his number or something. I got 7 over here. And that doesn't really help me. I'm going to send him up here instead, which is legitimate, and, you know, help support this ship. It helps get me here, which I can also go to conceivably, or up here or something. I don't know. But I'm just shifting him because he's not where he's not in a place he's allowed to be. I know that I made some sort of check to see if he could make it here. I think I saw this 7 and maybe thought it was here. There's no demand marker here. There should be. There's a base. I dump these bases off and I don't really think about it. I'm just like, I push them out and there may be another one. That's got one. Okay. I don't know. I'll keep an eye out. Yellow has a fine art here at Earth. I'm going to move it here right now because I don't want to sell it, because maybe I get a directive that deals with that. Maybe I get 3 goods there. I don't need the money terribly badly. It's absolutely safe on Earth. A little worried with the consortium here. Their directive is to blockade, right? They got to blockade the person with the most bases. Right now, this guy qualifies 11-13, but I'm not sure it's going to for long. There's 12 here. That would be a lot harder for me to get to. You know, it seemed like a good goal, and now I'm like wasting my ship. He can't do shit there. Yeah. You know, I don't think I want to go here. I think I want to go here. I just put this one down. The reason being that I want to deal with the symbiotic spores and get that cleared out of the way so that my base can operate. That'll give me a second place I could blockade. So like, it's possible, you know, this will get to move when that flies in or whatever, you know. All right, that's the end of movement. We're slowly making our way down here. We aren't, you know, getting any explorations, but it's like, well, maybe my movement modifier will get down below a 1. Yeah, I don't know what it takes for that. Where's the RE1? There it is. Not like, I mean, it's not going to happen next turn, but whatever, you know. I'm moving my way slowly over, and it's not like there's any danger to me flying around out there, especially if I'm not exploring. I don't know. This is one that somebody wants to take out. Green. And it's a science over here, isn't it? Yeah. I don't think there's a combat out there. But he has a combat directive one that he'd like to take care of, but I could get any ships I wanted there. Would it be worth it? Takes 15, that's a fuckload. I'm gonna call what I got done down in the basement good enough. The big problem with cleaning for me is clutter. You know, I gotta figure out where everything fucking goes. And in this case, it involved reorganizing my, my file cabinet that I use to store my magazine war games. All right. And, you know, I mean, but I've got like I've got a few boxes that I just don't know what to do with, that are just, you know, junk that I moved from Phoenix here. And I never quite figured out where to put things. I may figure that out separately, but I'm done for today. All right, on to the exploration phase. Okay, something big happened, and I remembered to pull the demand chit. The Pinkos ended up getting a successful survey, and that gives them 3. And that means I can buy the thing I wanted, if I can find it. 15 settlements. This will cost me 7, and it gives me a higher chance of finding anomalies. I don't think I was able to get that bonus on the anomalies on this roll. I just rolled the normal 20%. And now I draw another title. And these are just a stack, so that's cool. This one is Navigator. -3% malfunction. You just have to avoid malfunction by 3% or less. That somebody's going to just do that. The hard part is remembering that that's out there. Okay, so I got to pay 7 for this, which I easily have. Yay! A kind of problematic place where there's not a lot of chits left in the engineering pile. Now, exploration is simultaneous, but if you run out of chits, you just get a buck instead of a chit. And that sucks. And I've got my own pattern for how I'm doing the exploration, and I'm fine with it because, you know, this side's kind of disadvantaged. So I'm like, yeah, the people who are over there get the first pick. But I don't think that's what's really intended. But on the other hand, again, it's supposed to be simultaneous, which means people will be rolling for it and pulling from that chit pool kind of at random. We didn't run out. There's still a fair number left. And people tend to turn them in. But I feel like you should be able to demand initiative order or something when you're getting low in the cup, just to ensure that, you know, because you can't possibly succeed in a survey either if you're only getting a buck, right? Now, obviously, if you're going later or whatever, you might do a mining or a research if you're due to get engineering chits, but you're also due to get engineering chits for ship destructions. So there's that. I don't feel up for doing the developed text right now. It's almost raid time. I'm watching or listening to a podcast on the 100 Years of War right now, and learning some interesting stuff about the battle that I call Sluys, but I guess is Sluys. Yeah, I've got a battle on it, I think Right Fierce and Terrible, that I've played, and I don't remember it covering this aspect, which is that the reason the English were able to do so well is that they were able to stand off with their ships. Right Fierce and Terrible handles it as this big melee among the ships, and that doesn't seem to be at least the wisdom that's being transmitted to me by this video, which is that basically the English ships moved close but didn't fully engage and just unleashed their longbow fire, which was able to, you know, outclass the French crossbow fire. And that's something I don't remember that game taking into account at all. Maybe this is newer research, I don't know, but it definitely makes sense why it was such a major English victory. The game may be a little more abstract than I thought it was, but it feels like a big melee engagement everywhere, always. All right, here we are. I don't know. It's morning, obviously. I think it's after 6. I don't know how much after 6. I know it's after 6, but anyway, what happened was I was tired, whatever, and Raid gave me an excuse of you ought to sleep a little bit because there's a clan thing that starts at like 2 or 3 a.m. or something like that, and just take a nap. And I did that, and I've been up since then playing Raid, obviously. Anyway, let's get the tech developed. I found out my buddy is definitely coming up, and I still don't understand everything, and I still am terrified and whatever, and there's the additional pressure of he's asking me, you know, whether I want to go see my dad. I don't want to make decisions ever. Fuck. I don't know. But anyway, my sleep schedule, like, I felt like I was getting a hold on it so that when this visit happens, I would be up during the day. Well, yeah, I lost my handle on that. For whatever reason, the tech purchases this time was more painful than usual. Just bopping back and forth, looking stuff up and everything. Kind of hoping to run through part of the next turn. I may still, I don't know. Anyway, nobody ended up buying cards, although a few people looked at them. Some of them are in this position where they have to get to here to buy the card they want. And I don't know, it's like, yeah, but they also need points. They're short on points. So what do we got? We got some ketchup up here in the, well, this gets them to genetic manipulation. I hope they haven't fucking bought one yet. No, not yet. And we got a couple more people moving forward on the CV malfunction table. This is one of those, the malfunction happens, it costs you a few $billion to repair the damage, or it kills a ship and you get an extra engineering chit. And you're like, that wasn't that bad. Well, no, it's going to be CV malfunction. It hits a ship and it's just like, it's not that big a deal. It's not like it's really a game-changing thing. It's more an incremental. You're going to have a little bit more money because you're not repairing as much. Over here, the givers finally caught up into this. And that means everybody has the RE movement of 1 for whatever that's worth. Again, REs are kind of losing some of their value. That means physics is pretty much filled out for everyone up to here. And then Consortium and the True Path moved up again to this RE malfunction rate, a slight decrease, 2 more, and an RE exploration bonus, which is kind of nice. Exploration bonuses are really good. People who were hitting this were already at ship limit. Like people who were thinking about buying this were already at ship limit and are like, maybe somebody will buy it before me. Somebody else will buy it this turn and it'll be a little cheaper next turn. The transhumanists were interested in it and they're not in that position. The whole thing is, after next turn, when we buy things next turn, we go up to 2,400, which is another level, and some people are getting an extra ship off of that. There's also the possibility, though, that like a ship gets wrecked or something, but none of that's going to happen where I can buy something before the next century starts. So it's kind of a, who really cares, right? Where's my IP? It's not going to give me an additional opportunity unless I destroy a ship, which I'm pretty much loath to do. I got a couple of crappy ships here. This thing in particular, a 3-3 cargo with a damage on it. That's just asking to be beaten up. Part of what's in play, though, is let's look at where the transhumanists are hitting. They're going to be exploring here. That's an engineering space. I'm looking for engineering spaces because the engineering cup is so small at this point that somebody buying this would throw a significant amount of chits in and probably keep it from running out next turn. And that's an important facet. And I may actually be at the point where I have to start using some kind of initiative order on exploration checks to see who actually gets the chits and who doesn't. I put the billion there, I put that, I'm all set. Gonna put those away. And then we'll get started. About the tech chart that, I don't know which one, but both engineering and physics have both been pushed pretty far to that third column. It's biology where everybody's kind of lagging. And again, why is that? Well, the CV malfunction rate feels like it's an incremental type of thing. You're not going to get a huge bonus off of it, although the prices are about the same as like movement modifier changes and stuff like that. System inhabitability, look, this is a yes or no. You either need it or you don't. And so far, someone has not needed it. That would be the Syndicate. That's a little weird. They have a 60%, which is fine there. I got to make sure I'm not like shipping people someplace where I need that, because look, buy that, right? If you need it. But if you don't need it, you just don't need it. And sure, maybe you want to get the level 3 genetic manipulations or whatever, but anyway, I think they pushed into here for the cheaper thing. So yeah, that's a big cutoff here, is that people don't need to be able to settle on any system necessarily. They're not seeing an advantage. And then up here, look, buying level 2 genetic manipulations, kind of minor thing. Although we're at all 7 players here at this point, so I should get a thing there. He got that little terraforming bonus. So yeah, we should get in all players there, actually. Why that one? I don't know. Maybe because terraforming, gave an immediate bonus. Again, it's not a big one. The big ones, the ones I look at and I say, ooh, I want these, are things like CV movement modifier. That's huge. CV range was huge. Building bigger ships was big. And then the cards that you're holding, that you're aiming for, but it's felt like biology has not been being produced in very high numbers, which is kind of weird because there's a number of biology places near Earth, but it just feels like I haven't been getting as much bio as I have other things. That may have to do with the base production or something else. I'm not sure. I felt the same thing when I was playing the original Stellar Horizons, was that biology was hard to get somehow. And it's like, it's just as expensive to get the techs in it, to get the cards in it, as anything else. But somehow I find it just more difficult to get, and maybe less appealing as well, especially for the text, but also for some of the cards. Cards are like, yeah, you can have a higher maximum habitability for planet types, And it's like, whoop, whoop, whoop. Because those are level 1 cards. And when you're busy buying the level 1 cards, they don't help you at all. You don't have enough enough settlers out there to really worry too much about, oh no, I'm getting close to my max population limit. Now, maybe some systems are actually beginning to get to the point where I could actually foresee them running into those limits, because they only happen when the migration happens. But it just, those cards just seem like such a waste. Now, they may be good on victory points. I don't know. So you have one. No, I like that one. This one's not bad. I don't know. Somebody has one of these, or maybe I've thrown it away recently. Uh-oh, he bought a card, didn't he? He did. He bought this bio card, which allows him to take $1 off the first settlement that you buy on Earth each turn. There's other ones that are more expensive that let you take off from every settlement, but this is a relatively cheap card. Now, of course, how much is it going to save you over the course of the game? I don't know. And it's only worth 1 victory point. It is a good starting card, though, to have that little, like, extra $1 billion or whatever. And he didn't have a Type 1 he wanted. Yeah, let me draw him one. Hey, maybe he'll get one of the ones that I'm thinking about. Yeah, I gotta reshuffle that deck. Aquatic tolerance, yeah, this is it. Treat M worlds as +5, O worlds as +10. Its cost is comparable with anything else at the level 1. This is a little higher. It does give you more victory points, but it's like, again, at the beginning of the game, you're trying to build your engine up, right? You're not really that worried about trying to squeeze every last victory point out of the game. Let us see what the chit is. Draw trade goods. I'm still like, you know, I made my decision to play with the rules as written because I just don't feel comfortable enough with my modifications to be able to modify them sufficiently at this point. But I still feel some sort of regret that, like, yeah, I really wanted that other trade system, but the game just it doesn't support that kind of mod without tinkering with cards and all kind of shit like that. Okay, draw trade goods, huh? That's by period plus any cards, or I don't think there's any text that affect that, and then I assign them where they go. Got to put some in a bag. Come to a problem right away. This guy has 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 here at Earth. Okay, can't get any more there, and got a couple more here. He's at 12. I hope I'm not cheating. We're awfully close. Yeah, he's got 12 on Earth and bases, which means any of these 4 that I decide to keep, I got to throw something out for it. And I mean, I get $1 billion, but I'm thinking about timing here. Now, early on, it didn't matter much because people weren't pulling many, but now there's a lot out there and there are people pulling some. I feel like the discards ought to not go back in the bag until everybody's pulled their stuff. And it might actually make sense to be pulling in initiative order instead of outside of that. Because if the bag gets emptied, then you get flushed the unwanted stuff. Because everybody's going to be competing for the same delivery goods, really. So if you're, and I just threw back the Praetorian stuff that they didn't want. Now it's stuff that's not particularly desirable for one reason or another, and it's really not desirable to anyone, so it kind of sucks that they put it in the bag, to tell you the truth. It had to do with the Praetorians in terms of the counting and whatever. This is, again, another place where you have to scan all over this mess of information. And again, the less players that are playing, the easier it's going to be, right? Like, the less player positions are in the game. With 7 players on the board, it's kind of hard to find and identify what you own and what you don't. You have to make sure of, and it's weird, like the way the rules are handling this. So like base production, blockades affect, settlement, growth, and migration, they affect. Trade goods, they don't affect. All kinds of little shit like that you just, you have to, like, what shit am I going to be able to take advantage of my directive here? Had to look that up. Might not be able to produce most of this stuff. For the consortium, I produced some stuff at Earth, fine. I guess. I mean, it's just, it's so hard to take everything into account. I'm looking to see, is there anything that I'd want to deliver from here? Because I do have an M-class planet there that I could build stuff on. Now, over here, I've got a no bases. That means I can't produce any more here. I also have a full base there because it's 7 settlements. That only allows 1 trade good to be produced and 2 to be held there, which means my warehouses aren't big enough. But if I look down here, this has an H and an E. I can't produce anything here. This has a K, so I can produce the ore at this base, which is awesome because I can sell it there. But maybe not that awesome because there's the sell 3 goods on Earth, and I have the combat thing. Which means I would love to get it to Earth. I already have a couple of goods on the way, but it's hard. And then I have to make sure this isn't me, and it's not. And that means I have 2 rare minerals that I can't produce, which would have been producible here, but I don't have room for them anywhere. If I can't produce them, I still can produce money with them. So money's cool. Have to keep an eye out for this. Draw an extra trade good. You can produce flora and fauna in any system and sell them for an extra $1 billion. They become especially valuable to me, and I can produce them where I can produce them in the same place that they're demanded, which feels weird to me. It's like, ooh, you know, I don't know what we're doing with them. Meat, some interest. This produces machinery, and machinery is desired there. So I'm going to be able to sell it. I'll sell it at $1 less than usual, but you know, that's cool, right? Especially if I have no particular reason to be delivering machinery somewhere more exciting. Just dump it there. And sure, instead of $1, what am I getting? I'm getting $3. The bags, there seems to invariably be, and I don't really care too much unless I run out, counters that I find in this pool. Sometimes there's demand counters that make it into the trade goods pool. Oh well. Whole number of arrivals, one of particular interest to me. These came in with their machinery. He built machinery there. It's going to come down to better initiative as to who gets to actually sell that machinery. And the answer to that is blue is going to have it, because it's going to happen this turn, which means that his travel gets kind of negated. Now, he can dump those two. You can hold 2 anywhere. Because you can hold double what you produce. So, you know, I can dump those off there. I don't know why I'd want to or why I wouldn't. It's all kind of a blur as to where trade is going to be valuable, where it's not, where trade goods are going to be worth having in a location and where they're not. That's going to put us on build and repair ships, and I am going to break. I'm overwhelmed at this point, and also very much stressing because I've been asked to make a decision again. I'm tackling my bedroom, at least I started to, which is the hardest of all things to clean, because I live there. You know, I mean, everything else I can kind of figure out, but that's like where all my stuff kind of is that I need all the time, which is a weird kind of situation. It's also, you know, I don't know when the last time I cleaned it. Maybe when I moved in. I know that I made attempts. I know that I did cleaning since, but limited since my wife died. But you know, like pulling my bedding out and whatnot. But I'm going to do more. And one of the reasons, it's sort of the least important room to clean for my buddy coming up. But for me to do the living room, I'm going to pull a lot of dirt out of my bedroom, essentially, the bedding and stuff like that. And so I'm kind of like, well, I had to do my bedroom first. And I kind of want to do it because I want to get it clean and move that computer down there as part of the whole restructuring. All right, for whatever it matters. So we're on the build and repair ship, so let's give this a shot. I'm feeling very tired. You know, I've been up for many hours, even though it's still morning, I think. It's very hard to fix a ship like this, although it can only take 1 more point of damage. But here's the thing, it feels to me like I'm spending 3 to fix this, and I should be able to spend 5 to fix 2 or more points of damage. But it can't take 2 points of damage, it'll be destroyed. But I'm not sure I mind if it's destroyed. And I don't know. How many of these will I be able to build? I don't have a shit ton of money. Like, I think I'll be able to build 1 of these 2 ships max. But I may not have the cash. Of course, I got the trade goods and shit. Oh, I gotta remember trade when I get to it, because, well, not here. Somewhere I have trades available. Hey, this self-repair systems is really a nice advantage. I mean, you just pick up damage fairly often, and at $3 a pop, it starts paying for itself pretty quickly. Whatever that means. I mean, I spent a bunch of engineering chits. It's not exactly money. I can't trade it in for money. Money's a lot more fungible, but I still view the things that I can buy with money, like being able to buy a tech point with money, I view the tech point as worth more than the money, though. I don't think I brought this guy in. He only traveled one space, and that's a speed of 1 for him. I think I just cut off to here and didn't even realize he was out there on his happy way. Appears I cheated again, unless I have a +1 ship here. I only have 6 of these allowed. I found them. Oh no, maybe I counted 2 of these. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. God. Now I'm at 5. I was at 7 last time I counted. Let's do again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I'm good. I may want to dismantle a ship, though. I have a lot of money, and I have a damaged piece of shit, which is very appealing to get some cash back for it and be able to build something a little bit more potent. Dismantled that damaged ship, but I don't know what I'm trying to do. Probably a trade mission. Sell 2 trade goods at Earth. No, I don't have them now. And finding specific trade goods on my bases, it's hard to tell where your bases are. I got fine art here. But anyway, I got a question between which ship I want to buy. I want to buy one of the biggest ones that I can. Right now, and I'm the last person choosing, right now there's a fairly big squadron of syndicate ships here. I have a ship, there's a fairly big ship here. Now I would feel kind of comfortable with this, but I think I got to buy this warship instead. I would much rather buy haulers, but this can haul 3, and this will help protect it for $12. Syndicate. They have a -2 to combat rolls, but that's not raid. Raid, I don't think, is combat. Is it? I don't know. Yeah, it is. -2 is not necessarily bad, though. Unfortunately, what I want is to steal this machinery. Although if I destroy the base, that's good too, but I can't do that. So yeah, I'm going to do a raid here. If I take the machinery away or something, I end up getting being able to trump him and sell machinery before. I can't take it on board my ship, though. And that's important. I can't deposit goods and then do the raid or shift the goods across. Maybe I'm better off going for the combat roll. Just try to destroy the base, because my chance of a raid succeeding is I basically need a 9 or a 10 with that -2 to succeed in stealing the goods, and I can't destroy anything. Yeah, let's actually attack that. Okay, so I'll do a ground combat and throw this in, right? I'm allowed to do that. No, I cannot. As far as I see, a planetary assault. Yeah, so I don't have the choice to throw. I may have cheated this before. Both bases are included. The defender can choose to include any CVs in the system they wish. I can't choose to. Well, then I'm going to do a planetary assault instead. I have a strength of 8. He has a strength of 1. He's got a +1 to his die roll. He's red for me. I have a -2 to my die roll, which I don't like. But no matter what I roll, I destroy him. And he does not destroy me. which means we get a little red flag here on him. I could have come to some sort of agreement, perhaps. It's going to wipe this out. I don't think I capture the trade good or anything by destroying his base. And I get some additional escalation problem, which is 1 for the combat, half for the settlement, rounds up, 2 for the base. I get 4, he gains 4. So I just gave him at least $4, maybe 8 tack, you know, I mean, a couple of victory points, however you want to look at it, that's what I gave him for this attack. And that's why combat is not worth it unless you have a really good plan, and I feel like I did here, in place for why you're doing it. And I get 4 of these. Who gets them? I want to call them the Pyro Rats. Ooh, lots of victory points. Just all good stuff. Sweet. Well, now combat becomes a lot better for me. Although I kind of want to get rid of that -2 combat roll. I'm not good at combat. It's just good for me. Blue has this red marker, which will not disappear this turn. And they have a possible either ground combat or a planetary assault. Neither one is appealing. If I could combine the two, it would be great. It would be great, because I'd be hitting with 9, and that's how I thought it worked. But let's say I ground combat him. He's at a -2 to his die roll. We'd be reducing ourselves a little bit. Another option is I could try to shoot him up at 0. I think that's what I'm going to take. That is going to give him a blue marker. And this is how wars happen, is that both players pay no price for the attack. So here we're both hitting at 5, but the Syndicate's got a -2 to its die roll. Are we allowed to attack? Yeah. The Admiral who's not. We're both hitting at 5. I'm doing a naval attack. Oh, well, that's nice. I do 3 hits to him, and he's a size 5, rolls a 3. He does 1 hit to me. He could have wiped out my ship, which would have been sucky poodle. But I did 3 to him. I take no cost for that in terms of, and I don't grant any bonus. This was a retaliation. Oof. Over here. So I'm able to to decrease his settlement significantly at what's essentially a cost of $1, because I'll still be here next turn, presumably, and can repair the ship. I had a True Faith or whatever ship that was damaged that I forgot about. When their turn came up, I noticed it, and I'm like, oh, I should have repaired this during the repair phase. I'll move us to the trade phase. Let's see what we got. Consortium is out of money. I think they're going to turn this thing in. And that's got an M and an ADK type, so it cancels out. So I get $3 for that ore, which is part of the way towards building a settlement. And I have a ship here where I probably want to grab a settlement. So, yeah. While I was looking at that, I earn $1 less for trade goods. I don't know if that's worth it anymore. $3 meant that I turn in 1 influence and I can buy a settlement. $2 doesn't do that for me. So let me look for that ore counter. It's this. And leave that here, because I don't have anything for ore, but there is the title that allows me to get something if I can sell 3 at Earth at the same time. Although there's clutter, and it tends to be relatively easy to look for ships and to hunt them down. What's not easy to do is hunt down these tiny little base counters that are covered by trade goods and whatnot. Figuring out who's got a trade good counter that could turn something in is really painful. Ships so seldom have them, but those bases might well. And anyway, I do not believe the Starfarers have anything they want to do. I'll keep hunting my way. We're going to dump that machinery here. For whatever reason, machinery has a -1 on M's and L's, but a +1 on HK, so I get $8 for those two. That's going to cancel this thing out. Now I draw 2, pick 1, but I got to be careful, because this guy, if he was there, would influence things. He's not. $8 is a goodly amount of money. Oh, you know what I ought to do? I ought to look this up. No, only selling on Earth gives you an IP. That IP list, it's so painful. Let's see what our choices are. Not that we really care. You know, entertainment and medicine, we go look over here. We got a lot of entertainment. Are we the entertainers? We are not. These guys are. But that gives me something, you know, if I head back to that world, which is not unlikely, because I can't really go too deep. Like here, I can't be here, right? Oh, fuck. I cheated. Right? No, I'm coming off this planet. Okay, I can be there. Not many people have 3 bases out here on this side of the board. This side, there's a couple that do. They're on the Praetorians, and I'm seeing I can get this big shadow fleet here. Is that? I think it's only science here. Yeah. And I don't care with that. But what am I doing? I'm trying to trade. I could go collect this. It's worth 7 IPs and gives some nice stuff, but I gotta leave here. This is a fast ship. I've got a current speed of 2, which goes down to 1.5. You don't get a whole 1 off. You get whatever the next level is. Which means it would take 3 turns for me to get here. This guy, and I can be there because I'm basing off, oh, maybe not. No, wait, I'm not big enough. Oh, fuck. Or my ships are too big. Unless I have unlimited range, which we go look for, and I don't think anybody has that. That's over here. Okay. All right, well, there goes that plan. I can work 2 from Earth. No. This isn't worth exploring. Yeah, I guess I fly in here and hope for the best. And then this thing, I could send this all anywhere, basically. I don't know what it really wants to do. But this is the closest place that I can get any tech chits from. Syndicate had enough money to buy a humongous number, 5 settlers, sending them over here. Now, currently they have 1, 2, 3 settlements. They are allowed 4 or 3 bases. They are allowed 4. But even if they weren't, if they got another one next turn instead, next century instead, we're right on the barrier. So I'd be fine sending stuff out. And I can do that because I'm within 2 of Earth, so it's no problem. I am rather concentrated here, but these are all really good locations. And this is especially good with 2 different tech markers there. Now, what about that 30%? I'm going to have to work on my system survivability. But it's going to take me 3 turns to get there with the 1.5 multiplier. And I'm sending a ship back from here over to here. Do I have entertainment? I do. Maybe, I don't know. If I needed money, it would make sense to ship a lot of entertainment out there. But I want to populate quickly. I think that's more valuable at this point still. My way down here, I'm taking care of this guy, and I'm about to unload a base, assuming I can do so. I don't know if I can. 1, 2, 3 bases. This would be my 4th. I am allowed to. But before I do that, oops, I forgot he was delivering medicine, and that would get him $5, which he wants to deliver, and I'm sure he doesn't have anything for that. Because there were no bases here, yet there was a demand marker, but I think the true path had like settled this, created the demand marker, and then lost their base to someone. So, just in case you were thinking about that. This is the guy who's allowed an extra number of ships, and I was out of money. I built a ship, I was out of money. I'm okay. But I'm just like, yeah, a lot of the state is just too much for my poor little brain to hold on to. I'm wasting a ship just waiting away so that I can do a blockade someday. Okay, I think that's the end of my movement. We got the transhumanists. They're interested in getting their noses into here. That's as far from Earth as they can go. But they might actually want to go even further out, because they can base off of this and thus, hit out as far as there with colonies, which might be safer. They're going to have to decide, but they're doing a waypoint here because that looks pretty safe. I don't know. But I might end up dropping my supplies off on the way, or my colonists off, and screwing everything up. That's the danger with pre-planning in a pulsed game. It just, what was it I played just before this? I'm trying to remember. Really was hitting me hard, where I had to do a lot of pre-planning. I don't remember what the fuck I played. I think Virgin Queen, but the Tanto Monta that I did before that right before that as well, are games where you have to figure out what you're doing in a similar sort of way, and it's why I don't like the modern design mechanisms, is that you don't make all your decisions kind of at once and then just stick with them. You're in this position where you can constantly be refining them. So first of all, you're given a lot more decision points, which I don't like. For the same reason I don't like making decisions in my real life. I don't like making too many in a game either. I don't mind making a big one here and there, but I don't want to make a lot of little ones that may be impactful, right? Like not, it doesn't bother me on like Terrible Swift Sword or the CWB series or something. Which column do I want to be on? First of all, you can generally come up with a rule of thumb of which one you want to be on, or which ones are advantageous. And every now and then you have to make a decision, but it's really just kind of a mechanistic decision that you can just figure the probabilities out and do it right from there. But here, you're constantly being faced with the entirety of the game state impacting your decisions. The other reason you could say is worse in solo, like in this kind of multiplayer solo, but I find it pretty problematic even playing, as a single power in an opposed game or whatever, which is, I forget what the fuck I'm doing if I've got too much interleaved and pulsed and all that. And, you know, there's things I like about modern game designs, but there's a couple of things that are sort of maxims, like, you know, you're always close to making some sort of impactful decision, and that there's meaningful decisions throughout the game and all kind of stuff like that, that I'm like, yeah, those are things I actually don't like. You know? Even if they appeal to me to begin with, the actual play of the games, they begin to wear on me the more I play them. A couple of times I've mentioned a Eurotech Tree space exploration game. I remember what it is now. It's Eclipse. Which, you know, to be fair, if I was playing it solo, it would probably bother me about the same as this does. But because I played it opposed, I walked away with a more negative experience of it than I do when I play a game by myself that I have difficulty dealing with. Like this, I'm enjoying myself. I see the problem I have with these. I fuck up on them. I know if I ever play this opposed, I'd fuck up with them worse and have a less enjoyable time. It's just the way things are, man. It's Wednesday, I think somewhere between 10 and 11 a.m. So I got my room cleaned, but that pretty much wiped me out. You wouldn't think just cleaning would be that big a deal, but I've gotten old and weak. But yeah, well, I had to build some furniture that had been disassembled that was more problematic. I had to move the computer. And I think actually the biggest part of what wiped me out is emotionally. Dealing with the computer, turning it on, reminding me of things. And then also my wife's email has apparently been hacked, and she can't access it. Well, I can't access it through her account any longer. I don't know why I particularly want it to go in there to hurt myself more in some ways or something. Oh, I know why, because I have her RAID account. Well, my RAID account that I used with her email, and I was like, well, I can play both at the same time, and I can't. But everything to do with it is like just really kind of emotionally charged for me. But also physically, I'm not in shape for doing this. Today, I really should do more cleaning. It's Wednesday. I got like today and tomorrow, maybe Friday, who knows, to do cleaning still. And I got at least a couple more rooms that I really ought to be cleaning. The kitchen, which is going to be horrible. But right now I want to do the exploration at least here to get some of the game in. Oh, the other thing is I ran out of onion, or I'm close to running out of onion. And I think today it's not going to be too ugly. I may just run down to the nearby store to get some. Although I don't absolutely need onion. I guess I could do without. I don't know. That's some really bad luck here. And this guy with his big +3 bonus, getting him up into the 11 and 12, still not getting a double pick yet. But I got a success here, dropping the value. And I draw a world. I'm trying to replace this one. I get another 3 world that is better, at least in terms of economic values and whatnot, which, and it's better than this, which means if I need that, I don't know if he's the guy. I don't think he is. He is not. Oh, he's got the combat anomaly. He would like to have gotten this. Okay. But if you complete a survey in a system where the slots are full, which is the case here, still draw a world if any of less than 12, If you draw a world with up to 12 population, you can replace a lower population world with the one you drew. I think this means I can't replace this, even though it's better. In fact, this might be better than this, even though it's got a lower population. So it's kind of a weird thing. It's like, this is meant to indicate resources that you missed or whatever, but if it's not population, screw it, we're going to ignore it, right? Like, I don't know, if you look at like the solar system, where we are, there's all kinds of interesting stuff, right? There's gas giants, there's asteroid belts, there's an Earth-like planet, there might be moons that can be dealt with or whatever, icy worlds, stuff like that. There's all kinds of different things, which may just indicate lots of slots in a place. But kind of feels like what you're doing is you're exploring an area and you're like, I don't know, this isn't as good. This won't have as big a population, even though it might be more valuable economically to me. I don't know. After everybody did exploration, we discover a splinter colony here, which is really easy to deal with. Comes up with a couple of cheap settlements, etc. Whoever has the initiative is going to get a bonus off of being able to just shoot that off out of the people who are here. But that reminds me, I forgot to check here for an anomaly. Now he has a 3 in 6 chance, or 3 in 10. He got one as well. That's the much uglier pirate's lair, which we could combine to deal with, but again, not this turn. Almost done. Got a couple more explores. We're on the, well, that's the end of the exploration. Nothing too exciting happened afterwards, but I'm worn out. I mean, I forced myself to come up here to do this. I'm in no state to do another segment. You can see we're down to 5 of these. Somebody better buy some engineering stuff. Well, I got the wee bit of shopping done. Nothing else. I picked up some glue for some shoes I destroyed last weekend when I went dancing. Nikes suck. That's all I have to say. They were brand new when I got them a couple of years ago, but I only wear them dancing, and of course that puts a lot of pressure on shoes, but most sneakers hold up a little better than that. They just wear out. This hard piece of plastic broke off. Just weird shit. They're not built for the amount of pressure and turns and stuff. Anyway, and you know, I mean, if you're doing real sports and whatnot, you're going to be putting that kind of pressure on shoes. Let's get to the develop text, get that out of the way. By the time I do, it'll be close to raid time. Maybe I'll get some work done on the kitchen or something, I don't know. Just noticed, you know, with this thing, I'm going to get 2 settlements. Well, I got to have space for the settlements, right? Which might mean I might be in danger based on base. I might, you know, I have a settlement here, so I'll be able to grow that, assuming I haven't cheated in some larger form. And next turn, I get another settlement, another base of space there. So it's no problem, but I could see yourself getting in a position where you're thinking about solving something like this, and it's like, yeah, it's kind of not really worth it, because, you know, this ship only holds 1, and maybe I don't have room or whatever. So sometimes you might pass on these when they're giving you stuff you can't use. Same thing with trade goods. You might not, but at least trade goods you can sell. Settlements you can't sell. This title is going to be damn hard to remember. 3% or less avoid malfunction. Shit. I mean, you know, again, once you devote your mind to dealing with that, but how many different things in this game do you have to devote your mind to remembering? Obviously, look, you got to devote more if you're playing all the different powers and whatnot, but that's just sort of a general. First of all, I might not even know. Well, if I roll close, I'm going to have to check, but I know I had ones where I rolled close enough that I had to check. I don't know which way they went, so I'm not giving myself not giving some power the benefit of the doubt or whatever based on a memory. First two powers I did have a, wow, I got to do this kind of now type of situation. The Praetorians, very, very interested in that. And also, I'm sitting on some engineering exploration areas. I want to make sure there's engineering chips in there. For the Syndicate, I need to get that survivability down because I'm sending bases into here, which is a 30%. I don't think I have anything that helps me. So in the case of the Praetorians, they really, really want to buy that wormholes, and it's going to cost a lot of influence to get, but it's really, really cool to them, I think. 9 victory points. I don't know, it's so painful because I've got 15, 20, 25. That costs 50. I'm going to have to throw 25 influence in. That's like more victory points than I'm spending on this. And what I definitely don't want to do is buy this planetary engineering for 20 engineering points, which would then raise the price of this to 55. Although, actually 53, because they get a bonus. But yeah, I just don't want to do that. But I'm like, I also kind of don't want to spend 25 influence. Oh, wait, influences are 2 each. I would only have to spend like 12 influence, which is only 6 victory points. Okay, that's a better deal. That's a better deal. All right. Broke any new terrain. Nobody bought any cards. What do we got going on? Consortium moved up here. This is important because this is how you get to unlimited CV range. Transhumans moved here, and that fills this out according to my previous count. Just was cheap. That's all. Starfarers moved up here, getting to be the second person to get to a 1.5 movement modifier. Again, it was expensive, but it's like it was the best buy for me. I think because I'm trying to get to this, the Traders Guild thing. I don't know. I don't know if I care about that. Maybe the eager migrants. I'm not sure. But being able to move faster with my ships, not a bad thing. It's just that I've opened it up and made it a little cheaper for other people. Same issue with the givers here. Somebody else might have gone in to be first or to be second there. But the givers actually want those extra bigger ships. They have a pile of cash. It's going to be another era, so there's definitely going to be room for another ship unless I'm cheating. And then these two have moved forward to the level 3 fleet improvements. They're both interested in getting a card, although they're not going to get it next turn, but they don't want to flush their cards, and they're like, okay, this would be cheaper, but I need to buy this before I get my card anyway, so I might as well. No cards were discarded, so no reshuffle there. And that's going to put us to the 2400, which of course means this is the end of an era. And I'm going to probably load this video up, which is good. And yeah, sorry about all the personal shit, man. I need somebody to talk to, and you guys are all I got, and it's not like, It's not like people who are watching these don't kind of expect some of it. Oh, yeah, absolutely terrified about this whole thing. Having somebody show up. It's definitely happening. It's only going to be for a few days, so at least there's that. But like, just the whole, oh look, my life is going to be disrupted for good or ill, whatever. Like, especially since it's not something permanent, right? It's one thing when you're meeting someone locally or something and hanging out with them for a while. You think, yeah, this could develop into some kind of friendship or something where we're regularly able to game or whatever. This is, I don't know. I mean, it's great. The idea of seeing someone from my past and everything is great. But only the idea, like when it gets to actually figuring out, look, is this disruption worth it? Enjoyment for some small period of time never seems worth it to me intrinsically. It's that whole live in the moment type thing. It just doesn't work. It's like, yeah, I don't.